St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. We've just heard from the Rangers manager Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Lots more to come on BBC Radio Scotland. Time now for the action to get underway. There's a choice of listening full commentary of Celtic against Ross County on digital, online at BBC Sport Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland Extra on your smart speaker and on BBC Sounds. If it's open all mics you want, that's on BBC Sounds, FM and online.
Football from Sports Sound.
Brilliant drop of the shoulder. What a goal!
From BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute.
So welcome to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. I should point out a lot of the grounds, we can hear it in the background, either pipers or a minute's silence. We had that at St Mirren Park this afternoon. It is, of course, Remembrance Weekend. Alan Preston, that's very much the case. The piper in the background there at Tynecastle. Yeah, we can just hear it there. So Alan observing the minute's silence there, and we can see the pictures coming in. Actually, the pictures there from Celtic Park. We can see it from Tynecastle. We can see it from Rugby Park.
Kenny.
Yeah, of course, Alan.
The pipe major Robert Lindsay were impeccable here at Tynecastle, and we're now going to the minute's silence as well here. Once the round of applause is done.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, we've seen the minute's silence. He's coming in from the other grounds. It looked to be impeccably observed. I have to say, paying respect to those that have fallen in battles through the centuries. So doing the right thing, all the fans, and it was certainly impeccable at St Mirren Park this afternoon. That game finished 1 apiece. We heard from the Rangers manager Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. I didn't think he was very strong, I have to say, in terms of his position there. He said we have to see, a lot of things can happen in football. I think Michael, as he said, is not convinced by how the manager came across this afternoon. As for St Mirren, fantastic from them. What a job Stephen Robinson is doing after that disappointment. I said earlier, apologise to the fans after being knocked out of the League Cup. I remember presenting that night. It was at Airdrie. They were dreadful that night. He said things would get better, would have to get better. They have got better. They've done really, really well in the league. Just looking at the live league table as things stand, St Mirren in 5th spot with 21 points from their opening 15 games. The action just slowly getting underway around the country in Scotland. Let's then get around some of the championship grounds. We've got the team news from the 4 top flight matches this afternoon. Let's then get to Dens Park. Dundee are up against Raith Rovers, and there for us is Chris Doolan. Good afternoon, Chris.
Okay, folks, please give our three mascots.
Hey there, Chris.
Thank you.
A few technical issues on the programme this afternoon. Morton are up against Partick Thistle this afternoon. Chick Young, you there?
Yes, Sam, Kenny, we just observed a minute's silence as we are doing round the country. Of course, this afternoon, the big news for Thistle fans is that after that blunder, horrific blunder, absolute nightmare last week, David Mitchell's been dropped. Jamie Steddon back in goals for the Jags. Morton unchanged. Schwacke in goal. Lewis, Strap, Baird, Blues, Muirhead, Katongo, Ambrose, Crawford, McGrattan, Gillespie and Grimshaw on the bench. And a recurring theme in this programme, of course, I've been on this for about a year or so. No substitute goalkeeper for Morton again. Pignatello, Cabaya, Hines, McGregor, King and Lithgow, the subs for the Taunton. And what a run they're on. This could be a really interesting game. Do give me a really powered life into this Morton side. Actually, I'm told they have the best record in the calendar year in this division ever since Do Give Me Took over. I'm just pausing for a minute before I give you this Thistle team attack by the Jags. They blew a 2-goal lead at half time, you recall, against Dundee last week. Terrible blunder by Mitchell, as I said. Back in goal. McMillan, Milne, Brownlee, Turner, Bannigan, Dowds, Lawless, Hodgson, Akinola and Mullen the starting up for the Jags. On the bench, the aforementioned Mitchell, the goalkeeper, Cammy Smith, Tony Weston, Aidan Fitzpatrick, Ben Stanley, James Lyon and Mackenzie on the bench for them. The referee here at the tail of the bank. Good crowd inside the ground, incidentally. Graham Granger.
Okay, thanks to Chick there. A big game there in that match at Capello. So Partick Thistle on a poor run of form.
Silence there.
Yeah, so I totally understand, Chris. Also, we don't get the pictures coming to the championship grounds. It's difficult to know where each ground is at. So, don't need the team news. Just give us a wee build up to that game there. Your thoughts on both these sides.
Yeah, I mean, off the back of a stunning comeback in Maryhill last weekend, Dundee will come into this game with much needed confidence, I think. It's been up and down season for Gary Boyer's men so far, but a result like last week can be the catalyst for them and really kick them into gear. They've made a couple of changes. but it's set to be a cracking game. This is two teams who like to pass the ball. Wraith Rovers, I've covered the last couple of games. They've been outstanding. They really do. They pass the ball well. They've got great movement in the front four. And they link up so well, and they're really, really difficult to defend against. So this is setting up to be a cracking day, Kenny.
Yeah, looking forward to it. The championship never fails to deliver on Sportsound. Let's then get to Rory Loy. He's at Celtic Park. They're just underway there, Rory. Celtic against Ross County.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, Kenny. We're underway here. Celtic have been pretty dominant so far without creating any clear opportunities. Ross County in possession now. Anthony Ronaldson just had a misplaced pass out the pitch. However, other than that, Celtic have started well. Ross County have won their last two though, however, and they're up to 10th in the league, so they'll take motivation from that. And I'm looking forward to the game this afternoon, but nothing major to speak of as it stands at the moment, Kenny.
Yeah, in a few minutes' time, Rory, we'll get your thoughts on that Rangers performance. You were very critical of the Rangers manager a few weeks ago. I think it was after the draw against Livingston. I don't know if you heard his post-match interview there through in pages.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Bring in a few minutes' time, Rory, on that, but let's get round the grounds. Alan Preston is at Hearts against Livingston. Alan, you were telling us there that getting a few of the players back now for Hearts, the focus now fully on reclaiming that third spot.
That's what it'll be, but again they've picked up another injury in the war with Andy Halliday has had to be withdrawn from the starting 11, and Devlin has come in to replace him. I don't know what was up with Halliday, but we just get told a late change. Devlin was on the bench originally, but the World Cup for Hearts can't come quick enough. They need a rest, Ken. I think this is their 24th game in 3 months so far for a depleted squad, but they've done remarkably well really to get themselves back in and around that third place, which they'll be hoping to try and achieve today if they can, with results going their way. But Livingston have been brilliant as well. They're above Hearts in the league at the moment. Tough nut to crack. David Martindale does it again. 0-0 on the clock, 2.5 minutes gone.
A full-time score from the English Premier League, the lunchtime kick-off, a real surprise. Manchester City 1, Brentford 2, and an early goal. A couple of early goals now in Scotland. Celtic Hearts 0, Montrose 1. Rory McAllister on 2 minutes, and Gavin Riley has given Queen of the South an early lead away at Alloa Athletic. We have got what looks a big game this afternoon at Rugby Park. We have got Kilmarnock up against Hibs there at Rugby Park. It's a big game. Kilmarnock against Hibs this afternoon on Sportsound, and there for us now is Stephen Craigan. Good afternoon, Stephen.
Good afternoon, Kenny. Yes, with some technical issues earlier on, but you're absolutely spot on. It's a big game this afternoon. I know you probably already said it, but Derek McInnes has made 7 changes, which quite clearly is on the back of a horror show at Tannadice during the week. So when you make 7 changes, you've no idea what's going to happen. You're hoping that somebody can produce a little bit of magic. Some players who haven't been playing have got a chance to go and show what they can do. At the bottom of the table, he needs a response. For Hibs, 5 defeats in their last 6 is a terrible run in form, and I have to say the away fans have travelled in big numbers. They've filled the top tier here at Rugby Park. They've conceded 10 goals in their last 2 away, 6 at Celtic Park, 4 at Aberdeen. So again, they need a big response. So it'll be nervous, it'll be edgy, but I think it's Kilmarnock who've started slightly better. They've been more aggressive. Fraser Murray's back in the team, so he will hope to have a big impact, but 0-0 so far.
Yeah, Stephen, just a question on that midweek game, the thumping they took at Tannadice. Derek McInnes made 3 substitutions on 34 minutes. That's a big gamble for a manager, isn't it?
Well, Ken, if I'm honest, it was 3-0 at that stage. So quite clearly, as a manager, you've everyone looking at you, wanting to do something, hoping you're going to try and impact the game from the side. By then, the game was gone. Kilmarnock had nothing else. Had a little bit of fight in the second half, had a little bit of spirit, but they were never going to bring that number of goals back. And that's been one of the major issues. Derek McInnes' centre halves, 3 of them or 4 of them have scored more goals than the centre forwards all put together. Therein lies the problem, so he's got to try and find a little bit of magic this afternoon. Once again, they will turn towards Daniel Armstrong, who signed a new 2.5-year contract earlier this week. So a big response, and certainly all the eyes of the Kilmarnock fans will want to see what they can do this afternoon ahead of the long break.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Daniel Armstrong scored the winner in that League Cup quarter-final win over Dundee United at Rugby Park. An early goal for Arbroath in the Championship. Michael McKenna on 5 minutes has them 1-0 up at home to Cove Rangers. Let's then get the early stages. McDermott, Parks and Johnson against Motherwell. What's happening there, Stuart?
Not a great deal so far, Kenny. We're only 3 minutes into the game. We're a little bit later in starting. The interesting factor for me was just to see how Motherwell shaped up. Just a half chance, just as you come to me, for for St Johnstone. It's cleared by Motherwell. Yeah, I was just interested to see how Motherwell set up. Kevin Van Veen and Louis Moult in the team. A first start of the season for Louis Moult. And just looking through it, Kenny, not enough goals from Motherwell's point of view. I think Van Veen's get 10 for the season, and then you slip all the way down to Blair Spittle on 2. So Stevie Hamill's been very attack-minded for this one, and I think he knows the importance of trying to get into this break with 3 points, and it'll be a much-needed break, I have to say, for Motherwell as well, with the number of injuries they have, and reeling out the same as they have done for a number of weeks now. So big game for them. And the flip side, St Johnstone very, very confident. 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, and they've been able to freshen up their team as well. Kenny, I have to say, some good replacements coming in for the 4 guys that have went out.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier, Stuart. He said it's a real luxury now, the competition for places in that squad for Callum Davidson, and he hasn't had that luxury for probably a couple of seasons now.
It's an amazing contrast, isn't it, from last season with the number of injuries that they had, and they were struggling at times to fill a bench. But I look at it just now, I look at the starting 11, as I say, the 4 changes, but also you go through the bench with guys like Crawford, Murphy, Baird, McLennan. Callum Davidson's got some great options to make changes throughout this game as well. So it's going to be interesting, as I say. Motherwell will be looking for that bit of confidence going into the break, just as they're on the attack again. A cross into the box and a poor clearance from Gordon. So both teams had a little bit in the opening 4.5 minutes.
Kenny, I would argue that Nicky Clark's been one of the signings of the season so far.
Good
Absolutely,
shout, Alan.
Yeah.
Really, I think you guys all said you're surprised you didn't let him go
as well. To be honest, I think Shankland's been great for Hearts since he's come in, but I think that Nicky Clark, what he brings is incredible.
Yeah,
Alan, he's helped everybody else as well. It's not just his job, is it? Stevie May's become a better player as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He was raving about him in the Sports on the Road a few weeks ago, Stuart, just saying what a difference he's made to the club. He's been fantastic. That goal midweek in Paisley was absolutely superb. Leanne, in terms of Motherwell, we've spoken a lot about the change in style of play under Stevie Hamill, but the run of results is really concerning. Lost 8 of the last 10.
Yeah, it's been tough. Results have been really tough, in some of the games. I think at times as a manager, Ange Postecoglou is one that speaks about the performance and what that looks like and what it feels like, regardless whether you win or not. But I think Motherwell at times have put in decent performances and have been really unfortunate not to come away with anything. But that's football. It's a results-driven business, and I think you can only go on so long with that type of run before the pressure really does start to crank up. So, to agree with what Stuart says, it's essential probably that Motherwell look to get points today, especially heading into the break.
Fans not happy here at Celtic Park. I'm not quite sure what happened there. A corner came in and Laidlaw took it pretty comfortably. There was no foul, there was nothing wrong with it. He then put the ball on the deck, then proceeded to pick it back up again, and Kyogo was questioning whether he's actually allowed to do that. And there was a little bit of an argument and a kind of post-mortem of the incident between a few players, and David Munro ran over and ended up giving a free kick, I assume, to Laidlaw in the box, which led to a lot of boos from the Celtic fans. So pretty strange one there. And also another contentious incident as well. Laturi, Ross County's Canadian player in the middle of the pitch, was dispossessed by O'Reilly. It looked to me, I only got one look at it, like a pretty good tackle, pretty good challenge. Laturi simply lost the ball. He then played in Kyogo one-on-one, but David Munro brought it back for a foul, which for me, Kenny, looked nothing like a foul. So still no big chances here at Celtic Park. However, the referee's been put under some early pressure.
Yeah, I want to speak about referees in just a minute. We'll just want to go back to that game, our early kick-off in Paisley. Liverpool, Firmino had put them 1-0 up against Southampton in the 6th minute, but Che Adams has equalised for Saints on 9 minutes there. I gave you the early goal for Arbroath. West Ham United 1-0 down at home to Leicester City. James Maddison in 8 minutes. What a season he is having. He's off to the World Cup. Leeds are 1-0 up away to Spurs. Somerville with a goal there on 10 minutes. That's you right up to date with all the goal news. Rory, as I said earlier, chance
sorry,
there.
Kenny, Kyogo, I think it was Haksabanovic cut in from the left-hand side, whips one in, and for such a small guy, he finds space in the box so well, Kyogo, and he's pretty good in the air as well, and he glances one just over the bar onto the roof of the net. Remains Celtic 0, Ross County 0.
Right, Rory, I want we'll bring the other guys in on this. We've got Michael and Leanne in the studio as well. Your thoughts on what we heard from the Rangers manager this afternoon? He was asked about his future. Will he still be here once we come back after the World Cup? So we'll have to see. A lot of things can happen in football. Did he sound convincing to you this afternoon? Did he sound like a leader, a man that's got belief this afternoon?
Well, no, he didn't, and it's something that I picked up on a couple of weeks ago, and Neil and Michael are kind of echoing that as well, that sentiment. I mean, again, from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's point of view, I think it was Michael that said, you know, you need to say certain things now. That's not changing your personality. That's not becoming a different person or a different manager. It's simply saying, do you still believe you can win the league? Yes, I do believe I can win the league, and instilling a little bit of faith for the people that are listening, the Rangers supporters and his own team. And he just always sounds so unsure when asked these questions. And like I said, it's not changing your personality to simply say yes or sound confident that you can turn it around. You know, do I believe that he can turn it around based on that answer? You're always left a little bit unsure. It's not a really difficult thing to do, to say yes to that question. And when asked if he's still going to be here, again, I totally take...
Oh, what a chance.
Yes, Alan.
Brilliant play from Hearts. Came at Soglu, long ball to Mackay. He finds Cochrane, who runs up the inside of him. He squares it, and it's Lawrence Shanklin with a chance. Left foot just over the bar. Wonderful move for Hearts. Still 0-0.
He should do better, Alan, I think.
There's a lot of pace on the ball.
There is, but I still think Shanklin, by his standards, it's maybe slightly behind him. It just gets too much on it, actually. Yeah, lifts it well over the bar.
Nice move, wasn't it?
It was, yeah,
nice
really good play.
It's a great move from Hearts. Great move for Hearts. And, you know, like we've talked at length about Hearts and the injury problems, and this is where there's a big difference between Rangers and Hearts for me, because I'm watching Hearts and I believe when they get their players back, they will be flying. And I don't see that with Rangers, because I still see there's a hunger, there's a fight, there's a desire in the Hearts team, minus all the players. Shanklin at the top end of the park has been a great sign, and that one I think was difficult for him. A lot of pace getting cut back at him, and I think Hearts are, and as I said it for a number of weeks, as long as they're in touching distance going into the World Cup break, they'll be fine. If they win this game, they'll go ahead of Livingston. They'll be at least fourth in the table, depending on what happens with the Aberdeen game later on against Dundee United. And you know, just to touch on the whole thing about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, sometimes, you know, if that's leaving us in doubt, what's it leaving the Rangers board in? You know, they're the ones that are going to potentially make a decision, and if you're hearing that from the manager, it's almost making your decision up for you to a certain extent, or it's certainly leading you towards, you know, one decision rather than the other. That's important.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Michael, but what would you have expected him to say to that?
I would
without sounding daft, or without there being a gif online later on that you think you're keeping your job and the next minute you're out the door.
I would be coming out and saying, I'm fully confident I can turn this round. As soon as we get our players back, after the World Cup break, you'll see a different Rangers side, and I believe I'm the man that can lead that.
I'm the man that took them to a European Cup final, you know, just a few months ago.
Kenny, he sounded like a beaten man.
He did,
really
didn't he?
And
he sounded that way for weeks, though, Stephen, to be fair.
But if the Rangers board went to him tomorrow and said you've lost your job, he'd probably say okay. I don't mean okay, he would accept it, but it wouldn't be a shock to him.
He's almost putting him out of his misery.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a shock to him. That's the message that comes across. And by the way, the second half when his team went behind,
Giannelli, great save. Really good save. Sorry, Stephen, again, breaking the ball. Hearts. Giannelli's through, keeper's really quick. Konovalov off his line, makes himself big, good right hand to it.
It's just when his team went behind today, there was no urgency to get back in the game. There was only urgency when they equalised. They were lethargic, they were one-paced, they were shrugging their shoulders, they were pointing at each other, they were throwing their arms about, and the manager was in the touchline. That's actually how he feels as well. So, I mean, I backed him to this point, and I still think he could turn it around, but he may not get the chance.
Do you know what the thing is? I said this during the week in the Hearts performance. Malik Tillman's goal changes the whole dynamic of how it's focused on. That performance against Hearts wasn't much different from today against St Mirren.
Was the penalty award correct today?
Probably just. It was never a yellow card. I was certain of that from the get-go, that it was not a yellow card for Ryan Kent. I think, is it definitely O'Hara? I don't know yet whether it was him that made the tackle. I think it's his trailing leg that maybe just catches Ryan Kent, so probably the right decision. But as Stephen just said there, and I mentioned it earlier on, they never looked like they were getting anything from that game until that penalty kick.
Kenny, I think as well, in terms of on the pitch, from my point of view, you know, the centre back position has been a real problem. You know, I'm not going to, you know, criticise James Sands and Leon King, because I think Leon King's been put in a position as a young man which is really, really difficult, and he's performed pretty well given the circumstances. When it comes to James Sands, it's not his natural position, and I think that shows. However, you know, against St Johnstone last week in the first half, they managed to do it, but overall, they struggled to pin teams back and sustain attacks. Oh, good shot by Carl Vickers. Oh, Kyogo can't quite finish it. Good shot from the American international who'll be going to the World Cup. Laidlaw gets down well, should probably catch it, to be honest, and Kyogo can't quite follow it in. But I just think that Rangers struggle like Celtic. I'm watching Celtic, it's sustained attack. Anything that comes up to Jordan White is mopped up by Vickers, Carter Vickers or Maurice Jentz. Rangers aren't able to do that. They can't sustain attacks. They look vulnerable at the back.
Roy, another thing. Do you see, like last week whenever Dundee United equalised later on against Celtic, I believed watching the game, I think Celtic are going to score.
Yeah. Totally.
When Rangers scored at 84, I had no intentions or I had no ambitions of Rangers going and getting the winner. They never, they threatened a little bit. I think Ryan Jack had ahead, or there was something else went around. They weren't convincing that they could get themselves a winner. Whereas Celtic, the minute it happens, the onslaught is coming.
Well, they could go 9 points clear this afternoon. Just some more goal news. I saw this one teed up yesterday. Bristol Rovers against Fleetwood Town. So that is Joey Barton up against Scott Brown, the referee, Bobby Madden, and for another Scottish link, Sean Rooney.
Are having a laugh there, are they not?
It's cracking, and Sean Rooney has just put Scott Brown's side ahead there. Fleetwood Town 1-0 up. I was just thinking about that. That was a terrific rivalry, albeit it was a brief one in Scottish football.
Kenny, I was reading some of Joey Barton's comments during the week there about how if he'd stayed longer, his class would have shone through, and if the players had listened to what he was telling them, they would have been a better side and won the title sooner. What a lot of nonsense.
He came here with a lot of confidence, a lot of bluster, and in the end he left with a bit of a whimper, I have to say. Who would the other great, albeit brief, rivalries be in Scottish football? Player rivalries, any that you can think of?
I wouldn't say Joey Barton and Scott Brown was a great rivalry.
Do you know, I think we loved it for a few weeks though. It was good. The press conferences were good. Scott Brown, I remember giving a brilliant answer after they beat them in the Old Firm game.
But it was a bit more of a caricature than a rivalry. Yeah.
He also said, Joey Barton, after that heavy defeat, that he was the only one that outshone his direct opponent that day. Ridiculous comments. He came up here and he struggled, and he went back down the road, and that's just kind of the end of it.
Marcus Tavernier has put Bournemouth 1-0 up at home to Everton. So Celtic dominating as we'd expect early stages here, Rory?
Yeah, very much so. Ross County, I mean, they've had one cross which was across the deck, which Joe Hart mopped up, no problem at all. Other than that, it's been consistent pressure. No real glaring opportunities. Kyogo had that follow-up. If the referee David Monroe had probably rightly let the game flow, Kyogo would have been one-on-one with Laidlaw. However, he pulled it back for a free kick. Ross County have got a free kick, but 20 yards inside Celtic's half now. But other than that, they haven't really been up the pitch at all. Celtic haven't probably created as many chances as you would expect them to after 20 minutes, but still the dominant side.
Yeah, I thought County were very, very good in the game we covered midweek. Their win through at Easter Road. Hearts against Livingston. Alan Preston, we heard that early chance for Shankland.
Yeah, they've had a chance for Janelli as well saved, but Livingston not really been in the game that much, but they are a certain threat, when you go forward because of the size of Newbley. Gets them up the park, and they're quick as well in the wider areas. They've got a free kick now, centre of goal, I'd say about 35 yards out. Oberlei's over it, he fancies this. Really far out for me to beat Craig Gordon for there, but you just never know. But the referee's still got to take his time and get the ball back. But 0-0 Kenny, 18 minutes on the clock.
And still goalless at Rugby Park, Stephen Craigan.
It is, Kenny. When Derek made those changes, the one thing he'd have said to his players is go and have an appetite for the game. Go and show your hunger and desire. Be energetic. The Kilmarnock fans are coming here. They're frustrated. They're disappointed at the bottom of the table. So the players have to probably inspire the fans this afternoon. And they have been energetic. Fraser Murray, who of course is an ex-Hibs player, has been lively. He's playing just off Innes Cameron on the left-hand side. Hibs, I'm not too sure what they make of Hibs. I watch them sometimes and I think they've cracked it, and then I watch them another time and I think they look miles away from where they should be. So far it's been competitive. There's not been many chances. Kuharovic had a possible opportunity with Chris Cadden crossing the right hand side. Innes Cameron went through and had a strike that was saved by David Marshall, was eventually ruled out for offside, but as it stands after 22 minutes it's 0-0.
Stranraer 1-0 up at home to Stennismuir. James Hilton on 18 minutes.
Kenny, we're just going to talk about, we're mentioning about stats and data and all that sort of stuff, and then you look at Joel Newbley, and I don't know what his stats are and I don't know what his data is, and I'd imagine the obvious accusation is he doesn't score enough goals, but he's effective. And I've said it for weeks and months and months.
I remember you saying very early in the season you were surprised that Hearts, for example, hadn't got in for.
Well, in terms of bolstering your squad, you don't look to play him every week. Already you're watching him at Tynecastle, and Alan just touched on it there. He's an out ball, gets them out the park, holds players off, gives you a release. He's not going to score bucket loads of goals, but what he does do is he helps the side. And when you're looking at, and it's not just Hearts, it's an Aberdeen, it's a Hibs, a group that group of clubs together, because you're looking at cherry picking other teams. It's not a huge investment. He's an effective player, and he, in my mind, he could score you 10, 12 goals. And when you've got the likes of Shankland, exactly.
What do you think it'd cost?
Buttons.
You reckon?
I think so. I mean, well, even if you were going to say there's a couple of grand a week.
I'm not talking about that. Yeah. He's got an option a year to go, which Livingston have taken up.
Couple of grand a week. A couple of grand a week and less than 100 grand. I would suggest.
We spoke about it last night in the Championship.
In his contract.
Kyogo's in here. He's on the angle. Oh, he drags it wide. Very un-Kyogo-like. They break very, very quickly. Ross County get caught with men up the pitch. O'Reilly picks the ball up, plays that slide rule pass, and Kyogo just drags it wide of Laidlaw's right-hand post. Big chance for Celtic.
Just before we continue this debate about Newbly, and I also want to get into Hibs. Liverpool have gone 2-1 up at home to Southampton. Darwin Núñez on 21. Now we've got problems, a few technical issues after Morton chicks at the game, but Morton have gone 1-0 up at home to Partick Thistle. Effie Ambrose on 21. East 5 1-0 up at home to Albion Rovers. Baldy with a goal there on 20 minutes. So what are you thinking then for Newbly, Alan? What are we talking about?
I think if you went to Davy Martindale with 100 grand, he'd laugh at you. I really do. He's got 18 months to go on his contract. Now every league position, Michael's worth what? 75, 80 grand? It gets you up a position up the league. There's your transfer fee straight away.
Well, I'd disagree with you, because it gets to the stage where I think that, okay, you sit out for another year, Joel Newbly stays at Livingston, you eventually pick him up in a year's time. Fine. I think he's not somebody that's going to come in and be a star for your club, but it's somebody that's going to come in and bolster your squad. Brilliant. So it becomes a game of, well, I'm not going to pay any more than that. You can take it now, or you can wait in a year and I'll come and get him then.
Do you think given he's went up to the top league and probably added a little bit more onto his belt?
Goal!
Oh, the offside flag has gone up. It went for Hibs as well. It was terrific play down the left-hand side. Cabrera got to the byline, played in Melkerson, who then fed it back to Kuharovic. The ball hit the back of net, then the flag went up. Big let-off will come on it.
Huge chance at Dens Park, Kenny.
Yep.
Robinson clean through with the goalie. He checks back. He's under a bit of pressure. He checks back. You think the chance is gone, and he manages to spin, and he digs a shot out of nowhere. It hits the post, hits the back of Jamie McDonald, and rolls along the line, and hits the opposite post and comes back out and lands a yard from the goal line, and it's cleared. But a huge chance for Dundee.
Thanks, Chris. Leanne, you've had a chance to look at that. Offside.
The offside, it's very marginal, very tight, but I've got a feeling it's the correct decision. We'll get the...
Leanne, was it Melkerson or was it Kuharovic initially?
Melkerson, I think.
Was it Melkerson who made the second move?
Yeah. Yeah, the ball that went down the side, Craig's just marginally offside. He gets to the byline and cuts it back, which is okay. Just the attacking phase just before that.
I was going to say, or ask Leanne's opinion as well, and Michael's on Dipo Akinyemi. Given that Newbly's went up to the top league and done that, do you think teams might do what Michael's saying and take a wee chance on him, given that Newbly's went from that level and doing similar things, probably getting for cheaper? Do you think he'll maybe go in January or the summer? Because he was unbelievable again last night. I took the game in, I went along, and he was fantastic again.
Even his own manager said it last night, Rory. I was trying to get in a second ago there when the guys were talking to mention Akinyemi. I was going to say, if Davy Martindale loses Newbly, he'll probably just go and bring Akinyemi up from the Championship, who'll do a very similar type job. He's been brilliant this season, absolutely outstanding, and he's actually, I think, getting better week on week. I actually think his all-round technical performance is strengthened, linking the game really well. His control last night, on a couple of occasions, pulling the ball out of the air, linking the game really well, brings midfielders into play, and then he scores. And he scores multiple goals.
Is there a big difference, do you think, between, say, top-end Championship and middle to lower-end top flight? A big difference?
I don't think so.
No,
I really don't.
Individual players, like I think you could go down even further, and you'll find players that you stick them in the top flight and amongst better players, no problem at all. You look at players in the Premiership, you think to yourself, you go down and play like a couple of levels below, and you'll struggle. So it's individual players. There are certainly players that are playing at a lower level that can step up without any great difficulty.
Bournemouth 2-0 up at home to Everton. Kiefer Moore with a second there in 25 minutes. Harry Kane has equalised for Spurs. 1-1 now at home to Leeds United. It's a surprise in League One after Dunfermline's big win last weekend away at Falkirk. They are behind at home to Clyde. Jordan Allen on 23 minutes. We lost, of course, one of our open all-micers, Jim Duthie. He is now in charge of Clyde there. Just want to get, Stephen, I think it was yourself I heard midweek talk about this stat, and there were some more details yesterday. I mentioned this earlier in terms of VAR and the penalty awards. So prior to VAR, 63 games, 17 penalties. Since introduction of VAR, 24 games and 14 penalties. What are your thoughts on that? What does that tell us? What do you take from it?
Well, what I'm actually seeing now from referees, Kenny, is when there's an incident in the penalty box, some of them aren't making a decision. They're actually hoping that VAR intervenes, which it will at some stage when the ball goes out of play or it stops. So I think it's affecting referees making decisions. I think they're scared to make it in case they get it wrong. So their mindset is, let's not do anything, and then whenever I'm told to go and have a look, then I'll give a penalty kick after that, which is not the reason it was brought in. I think it's becoming unnatural for referees. They're so wary of the criticism they're getting, for making a call and getting it wrong, that they're actually stepping away from it. And I think it's affecting their judgment of how the game should be refereed. It may well settle down as time goes on because they become more used to it, but it's almost like they must feel like it's like a criticism within a game.
So we said this increase, are we saying what's happened before is that we've missed so many penalties, so many handballs? Is that what we're saying?
Well, it tells you that they're just going anything on the arm, anything on the hand is a penalty.
Which is not the law.
Which is not the law, absolutely, Michael, but they're just taking the safe option, giving the penalty kick. All referees have to do with major decisions is tick one box out of a possible 10 opportunities. And all they have to do is tick a box, and that equates to a penalty kick or a foul or whatever it may be, or a red card. So all they have to do is tick one box and that's them done, which isn't right. And I think it's letting them off the hook.
Technically, you can absolutely. I mean, these laws are all, they're manifestations of the governing bodies. That's what the law is, and here's the sort of caveats that you can wriggle out of. But the end result is that punters, players, managers are watching games of football. Things are happening, and technically you can turn and say, the referees can back each other and say, well, that was the right call. But if everybody else is sitting there going, that's a nonsense call, well, it's not right.
Well, Alan, it's a point you've made for a long time. The programme I was presenting the other night with the 3 penalty decisions at Amon Vale. I'm sitting in here, and every time the referee went over, you just knew what was going to happen.
That's it. He's always going to change his mind. And the one I'll stick on is the one at Aberdeen against Hibs with the penalty for Duke. I think the referee could have stayed strongly and said, no, I'm happy, didn't give the penalty, and it's not a penalty, and I'll stick with it. But
I think that was a penalty, that one.
Well,
you see, that's the problem. That's the problem.
I think the Duke one was actually a penalty because I think David Marshall's knee catches. If you watch,
Duke's on the way down, Michael.
Yeah,
goal! Goal for St Johnstone, Kenny. It looks like it's Dre Wright. Excellent play from St Johnstone. It comes down the left-hand side into David Witherspoon in the box. Does his little shimmy, and he pulls it across goal. Liam Kelly saves it, and I think it's Dre Wright that puts it in at the back post. I thought there was a suspicion of offside, but no flag has went up. There'll obviously be a check, but it seems as if he may have been onside. But 1-0 St Johnstone.
It looked close, Leanne, didn't it? We're just watching the pictures coming in here, but what a run St Johnstone are on. That fantastic last gasp equaliser through in Paisley. The result against Rangers, they're doing so well. And we heard the manager speaking about the options he's now got. Alan suggesting Nicky Clark is a signing of the season so far, and it looks like they're ahead here this afternoon at McDermott Park. We're just waiting for Leanne for the pictures to go in. Here we go, we're just going to see it now.
Replay, I don't think there's too much wrong with it, if I'm honest. I think defensively from Motherwell it's really weak. No, there's no issue with the goal at all.
I think the big one for them is getting Witherspoon back in playing as well.
He's a new signing, Alan, isn't he? You look at him, he's strolling about this pitch, Kenny, and he's dictating play. He's so comfortable in possession. He's actually playing off the left-hand side, which is a little bit unusual for him. And not used to seeing him inside the park, but he's been excellent so far in this opening 28 minutes of this game.
Kenny, sorry, just to back up your point just about the penalties he gave.
Yes.
You said Nick Walsh, 3 penalties. He didn't give any of them.
Exactly.
And the second and third one, he's 5 yards from it, and he's looking right down the lens of it. So if he can't give that from that distance, then he shouldn't be refereeing the top flight. He shouldn't be relying on
standard of the referee, Stephen, with the penalties.
The thing is, I made the point last week, they're getting involved in far too much, and the Duke one, it just goes to show Alan's got one opinion, Michael's got another opinion. I might agree with Alan, somebody else might agree with Michael. Therefore, it's not, the bar is set it clear and obvious at this moment in time. They're getting involved in far too much and making problems for themselves. The Duke one, if he gives a penalty, that should stand. If he doesn't give a penalty, that should stand. He should never be brought to the screen because it's not clear and it's not obvious.
East Fife 1, Albion Rovers 1. Charlie Riley with the equaliser there for Rovers on 28 minutes. Right, let's test this line. Chit Young, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm alive and well in Greenock, Kenny, and so are Morton. I'll tell you, this is a real championship performance from this side, who are going to be genuine promotion contenders. They're leading Partick Thistle by 1-goal. It was the hero of this month at Greenock, Effie Ambrose. Corner on the left side, Robbie Crawford floats in, and Ambrose with the header beyond Jamie Snedden. And Morton have had all both sorts of opportunities in the wake of that. It's a free kick outside the box that was rattled by Robbie Muirhead. A difficult hike for the goalkeeper.
Here's one for you to look at, Leanne. Here's what. There's a ball played into the box. The Livingston defender clears it, but the keeper comes out and he wipes out, I think it's Devlin. He's just wipes him out. He's nowhere near the ball, but he's wiped him out.
Yeah, I see both players on the grass just now. We'll hopefully get a rerun of it. Alan will keep an eye on it.
Leanne, there's also been an incident at Rugby Park. I think Daniel Armstrong and Ryan Porteous came together. Now, Porteous was on the ground rolling about like he'd really been hurt badly. I don't know if he stood on his toe or he backheeled him or something's went on. The physios have been on to see him. He's now hobbling off, but it seemed really innocuous.
Yeah, he looked as if he was in quite a bit of discomfort, I would need to say, whether it's maybe been his ankle as well. I didn't see the full challenge or the full run there, Craggs. Again, I'll look at it if it plays it back through for me. He looks in a lot of discomfort though, the way he's limping off the pitch.
I'll run through the latest. We brought you that full time. The first commentary of the afternoon. St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. Ayunga with the opener for Saints on 47 minutes. Tavernier with the equaliser from the spot on 84 minutes. In the 3 o'clock kickoff, Celtic 0, Ross County 0, Hearts 0, Livingston 0, Kilmarnock 0, Hibs 0, and St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 0. Dre Wright with the goal there for the side. They're going really, really well. Callum Davidson's side on 26 minutes. Into the Championship, Arbroath 1, Cove Rangers 0, Dundee 0, Wraith 0. Chick just telling us Morton 1, Partick Thistle 0. And last night, with a cracking game in the BBC Scotland channel in the Championship last night, it finished Hamilton Accies 2, Ayr United 3. Into Scottish League 1, Peterhead have just gone a goal up away to Airdrie. Airdrie 0, Peterhead 1, Alloa 0, Queen of the South 1, Dunfermline 0, Clyde 1. A big shock there. Jim Duffy's first game in charge of the Bully Wee. Falkirk 0, FC Edinburgh 0, Kelty Hearts 0, Montrose 1. And in Scottish League 2, East Fife are down to 10 men, but they're level 1 apiece at home to Albion Rovers. Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 1, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stirling Albion 0, Annan and Stranraer 1, Stennismuir 0. And in the English Premier League, the lunchtime kickoff, what a surprise. Manchester City 1, Brentford 2. It's Bournemouth 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 2, Southampton 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 1, Leeds 1, and West Ham have just equalised at home to Leicester City. That is now 1 apiece. So far, so good for Malky Mackay at Celtic Park, Rory.
Yeah, absolutely. They look very compact. They don't look a particular danger going the other way at all, but they're very compact. Celtic really struggling to break through them. The two holding midfielders for Ross County are doing their job really well, screening the balls into strikers. Haksabanovic has not had as much of a say as he has done recently. They've got a free kick now just on the edge of the D as Turnbull goes round, so that'll be a big opportunity for Celtic to take the lead. But other than that, no, I think Malky will be pleased. I mean, like I said, they've shown no threat going forward, but they've not particularly looked like conceding a goal either. Ralston did very well a second ago, going down the right hand side and putting a ball in, but it's pretty surprising, actually. Almost as surprising as it taken us 27 minutes to discuss VAR today, Kenny. That Celtic haven't looked like scoring a goal, but Matt O'Reilly or David Turnbull look like they fancy this one right on, literally just on the edge of the D. Yeah,
I couldn't believe we didn't have any VAR incidents in the first half in Paisley, but then VAR did get involved and a penalty was awarded. Tavernier with it from the spot. 84 minutes, 1 apiece in the first game there of the day. We're through till about 8:30 with you this evening. 6 o'clock kick-off at Pittodrie this evening. Aberdeen at home to Dundee United. Full commentary to come from that one. Craig Easton and Willie Miller are at that game for us this afternoon. Alan Preston's at Tynecastle, Alan Hearts against Livingston.
Yeah, Ken, I was just going to say that last Sunday I went to the Hearts game as a fan for the first time, watching and being involved with VAR, just sitting in my seat, and I've got to say it was dreadful. It's sucking the life out the game. Even at this stage, people round about, you haven't got a clue what's going on. You're waiting and waiting. You can't celebrate a goal. We obviously got a different side of things when we're sitting here with headphones on a Saturday. But
I've asked what it's like. I've not been out at a game. Dreadful. I've asked what it's like. Yeah.
And people round about me were saying the same. It's horrible. And it's an entertainment business, but it's sucking the life out the game.
So Alan, why can't they do what they do in rugby, where they keep the supporters informed? Why can't we have announcements of what's going on?
They do to an extent.
If you take your radio, but if you take your radios, listen to Radio Scotland, and you're at a game, and it's like you keep up to speed with what's happening, but with a paying customer isn't getting that.
Well, that's the thing, and I think it will get better through time. But it was funny listening, or not funny, but it was listening to Ange Postecoglou. Hearts are shouting for a penalty here, Michael Smith, but I don't think it is. But Ange Postecoglou yesterday saying, it's been about for years. This isn't new. VAR's been about for years. They've been running trials on it for almost a year as well. How has it still got teething problems?
Yeah, but Alan, the officials in Scotland haven't used it domestically week in, week out. So some of them may have in European football, but some haven't done domestically. And that's why I think there's a nervousness and there's a reluctance to make decisions. They're hoping someone else makes it for them.
But Stephen, what's the difference between using it in Europe and using it domestically? There's no, it's still VAR.
Yeah, but there's only some of them have used it. Some of them haven't used it before.
A lot of them have as well. Even early on at kids' games, they were doing a lot of kids' games up at the Orion where it was getting filmed, and they were all doing the VAR through that. They've not just come in a couple of weeks back when that was the first time they've seen VAR. No. They've been at this for months. Every single one of them that's involved.
But doing an under 15 game, you're not really accountable for giving a penalty or sending someone off as you are in a Scottish Premiership game, and the attention and the media speculation around it. So I think that's impacted them more than anything. Psychologically, they've been impacted by the pressure of it all.
Well, let's hope things actually speed up in terms of the decisions getting made. It'll be interesting to see who've got more to go on.
Kenny, can I just ask a question to the guys? And Alan, and feel free anybody to jump in.
I just want to say that Moritz Jensen went off for Celtic and Starfelt's on. He went down on the halfway line holding his hip. Nothing came of that free kick from Turnbull, but Starfelt on, Jens off. Sorry.
No, it's fine. What's your thoughts, guys, with the way that players are just now with VAR? Because I'm looking at a lot of incidents, especially inside the penalty area, and I'm watching players that are stopping play, so they're not reacting, they're not playing the game on, and they're looking for penalties, they're looking for referees to make decisions. And I just wonder if that's adding to the scrutiny and the amount of decisions that we're having to look at.
I think every time there's a shout of someone hits their hand, and everyone's going to appeal now. That's the thing.
Yes.
Because they've given that many handballs that have been needless. The one last week at Celtic was ridiculous. But they've given it, and that's the problem that you're going to have, Leanne, every time. And you're going to get to a stage where, and some players are skillful doing it, when a winger's running at a left back or a right back, he just flicks it up off his hand. You're going to be shouting for a penalty kick.
Yeah. Is there a VAR check actually in Hearts Livy just now? No.
Well, that's what they have asked for one with Michael Smith, but I don't think so. The physio's now back on.
Yeah, and it's a similar type incident to midweek, Livy Aberdeen, where it's kind of flicked up off bodies and hands, and everybody straight away just, the ball's still dropping, and players are now just claiming, as opposed to one reacting to defend or one reacting as an attacking player to just get on the end of it.
Clyde are now 2-0 up away to Dunfermline. Jordan Allen with the goal there. Stranraer 2-0 up at home to St. Elsewhere. Matthew Grant on 34 minutes. Cameron Clark of Stirling Albion has been sent off. That's you right up to date with all the goal news across the country. What's happening at Rugby Park, Stephen Craigan?
Yeah, I have to say, Kenny, it's quite a competitive game. There hasn't been a lot of goal-mouth action. There's been challenges, there's been fouls. It's been a bit stop-start. But Cameron for Kilmarnock has actually impressed me. But what's strange about him is he's actually playing on Ryan Porteous, who's probably the more aggressive of the two centre-halves between him and Paul Hanlon. I would tend to put him on Paul Hanlon and try and hit diagonal balls and try and hit straight balls. In saying that, he's given Ryan Porteous a really tough time. He hasn't had it all his own way, but not an awful lot between the sides. They've been working hard, plenty of effort, but lacking a little bit of quality. Still 0-0.
St Johnstone word their lead. Sorry, you come.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you guys want to get to a championship game, because there's been 2, maybe 3 penalty claims here. In fact, Robbie Crawford has been booked for arguing the case, and then in the wake of that, it was Robbie Muirhead who was brought down inside the box. They are both going mental, so are the Morton fans. They should have won one and then another penalty claim, but the referee, who's Graham Granger, denied both, and I tell you, they would be going to VAR if this was
I'm not sure we
could
take it, Chick, could we? Could we take more VAR right down the leagues in Scotland?
I'm happier here. This is my natural habitat.
The problem you have, that goal last night, or ghost goal that was scored last night in the game, we don't have goal line technology up here, so that we could still have that debate in a game up here with VAR in the Premiership, where that's not given.
Alan, we were told we were told, Leanne, that's more expensive than the VAR system. The goal line technology
and I think
costs
the way
more.
which I think means that it just doesn't beep straight away, but the cameras that you've got in the ground should still definitively show whether the ball crosses a line or not, so we don't have the goal line technology that buzzes straight away, but
not for it, Motherwell, I'm picking up the wrong angle.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was put down to human error, wasn't it? A cameraman switching, I believe, to the dugouts to take a shot of that, obviously under instruction to do so. Liverpool going 3-1 up at home to Southampton. Darwin Núñez with the second of the game there on 42 minutes. Stennis Muir have hit back against Stranraer. It's now 2-1 to Stranraer. Matt Yates with the goal in 39 minutes. St Johnstone worthy of the lead through there at McDermott Park, Stuart.
They probably are, Kenny. They're on the attack again here. They're a threat down both sides through Montgomery and Wright, and I would say they've shaded it over the last 10 or 15 minutes. The concern for me for Motherwell would be that they're showing no signs of getting in the back line against St Johnstone. They're not getting behind that back three at all, and I would say that St Johnstone are relatively comfortable. I think I've mentioned on the show as well the change in style of play from St Johnstone. They're a joy to watch at times, dropping into strikers, midfielders, supporting, being able to attack down the sides. I felt they were a bit one-dimensional last season, but you can see with the creative players that they have on the park that they can be a real threat.
Leanne, Michael, have a look at this one at Celtic Park. The Ross County defender, I think it might be Callum Johnson, just falls to the deck, it looks like to me, talking about attacking players doing it. It looks like he falls to the deck, and Haksabanovic is absolutely raging because he took the ball off him and was just about to go in. Did he clip him? Did he touch him?
Not the best angle, I would need to say, Rory, but I know what you mean. He looks as if he just gets his body across him, hoping that the contact comes.
Yeah, just falls to the deck.
Hits the grass anyway.
Albion Rovers are going 2-1 up away to East 5 player Malcolm in 40 minutes. Spurs are now 2-1 down at home to Leeds United. Rodrigo on 43. What's happening then in your game at Dens Park, Chris Doolan?
0-0 here at Dens Park, Kenny. It's pretty much, there's not been an awful lot of goalmouth action. Dundee had the biggest chance of the game. Zach Robinson had a fantastic chance where he burst into the box. He had the chance to get his shot away. He didn't get it away, and you thought the chance was gone, but he still dug out a shot which hit the post, hit the back of Jamie McDonald and rolled along the line. But apart from that, we've had shots from distance from both sides, but in all fairness, it's probably been more so from Dundee. They've passed the ball really well, but so have Raith Rovers when they've had it. But Dundee have been on the ascendancy for most of this half, but there's been very few clear-cut chances.
Chick, what's the reaction from the Thistle fans? They've had a tough time in recent weeks. They've conceded a fair few goals, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment I'm surrounded by the Morton fans in the main stand. The Thistle fans are gathered at the wee Dublin end of the ground. The Thistle, after the goal, Ian McCall made a wee tactical shuffle in the middle of the park, and they've actually got themselves into a wee bit more of of Thistle. But Big Eddie Ambrose is strolling through this game. You just wonder if he'll end up making one of these classic errors that he sometimes does, but there's no doubt his ability, and he is a class act, and he's head and shoulders above everyone else in the park. It's a right good game actually, as I suspected it might be. And I was talking to Ian McCall before the game, and he just couldn't explain this last week's game. They were total grip of the game, Kenny, at half time. 2-0 up against Dundee, and then the collapse, not aided and abetted by David Mitchell, the goalkeeper, who just dropped the ball for a tap in and turned the tide. But they've shown a little bit of spirit. But I mean, Morton look a force. They really do look a force to be reckoned with here. But now the experience of guys within this team we mentioned. I mean,
chance! Oh, great save again.
Ambrose.
It's a brilliant ball. Cochrane to the back post. Shanklin saves it. The keeper comes out on the angle. Connor makes himself big. I think he gets hit in the chest and away for a corner. Really good ball from Cochrane. Good save.
Ross McIver's equalised for Alloa. 1-1 now at home to Queen of the South. Land. I think you were there. We covered the debut Morton, the game was against Inverness Cali Thistle for Effie Ambrose. How the signing came about. And Trick saying there, that could be an inspired signing for Morton, couldn't it?
Huge signing, absolutely it is, because it gives you that stability, it gives you that option, it gives you the experience, and it gives you a confidence to go and play. And I think clean sheets at any level, we spoke about it.
For a penalty there at Hearts.
Yeah, we'll get a look.
It's a whipped in corner for Snodgrass. It falls to Devlin. He smashes it against the Livingston player. He's a yard away from him. They can't give that. But the crowd and the referee, hand to the ear, he's told them to wait. It's a yard away from him.
I'll get a look, Alan, but just when I'm looking at the referee, I don't know.
Half-time at Celtic Park. It's as lacklustre as I've seen Celtic this season, and it is Celtic nil, Ross County nil.
Thanks, Rory.
Ayunga today when he scored. Does the referee VAR sign in the celebration, the finger to the ear and the weight gesture. I thought it was quite funny, to be fair.
Leanne, will you get a view of this one? There's been a foul at McDermott Park. It's Kevin Van Veen. For me, he's off the ground with both feet. It looks as if he catches Liam Gordon in the head. The referee's given him a yellow card. Don't know if you're going to get a second view of it.
I've seen it through just now.
I don't know if it was worthy anymore. Or
no. I know it's one of those ones, if you're inside the penalty area as well and players go for the audacious overhead kick, it's almost like a scissor kick.
Yeah.
It probably is dangerous, and I reckon if Gordon actually committed to it a bit more and actually put himself right in the midst of it, he could have really come out with a sore one, but that yellow card's probably better.
It's another...
Oh, I think that was Chick with a few problems.
The robotic Chick Young.
Yeah, never sounded so good. He was telling it's just come through.
Half-time Rugby Park, Kenny 0-0.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, Morton 1, Part of Thistle 0 at half-time. Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 1, Kilmarnock 0, Hibs 0, Stephen Tellings 5-1, Albion Rovers 2, all half-time. Stirling Albion 0, Annan 0, Airdrie 0, Peterhead 1. Rory telling us Celtic 0, Ross County 0. Interesting to see as that one develops what the reaction there is at Celtic Park, because what an opportunity they have this afternoon to go 9 points clear at the top of the table ahead of the break, following Rangers 1-1 draw at St Mirren Park this afternoon.
Spilled.
Yeah, Alan.
It's a shot. It's really good play once again by Newbley, and it comes back to Sean Kelly. It's a left foot shot. Craig Gordon low spills it, and it's cleared away for a corner. Once again, though, Newbley's a handful. Kieran McSorley's already been booked for having a go. He's turned the midfield player, got away from him, and the player brought him down, deserved yellow card, but he's been Livingston's best player.
Alan, we talk a lot about the resilience, the structure, the belief, the fight in that Livingston side, but you were talking about the game there. I mean, Bahambula, that bit of skill during the week. I know we saw that.
Oh, good save again, Craig Gordon. It's Stevie Kelly this time. It's a shot at the back post. The ball comes in. It's Montano, hits into the ground. It's gone to the back post, and Stevie Kelly's header. Craig Gordon's out, makes himself really big away for another corner. You just would never write Livingston off. And you speak to Davey, and he tells you, well, we heard him last week.
Yeah.
Everyone has to leave off the line this time.
My goodness.
I think it's Giannelli with a header off the line. It's a header at the back post. Livingston not really been in it as an attacking threat. We've had 2-3 really good chances just as the referee blows for half-time. 0-0 at Tynecastle.
West Ham United's equaliser was ruled out, so they remain 1 goal down at home to Leicester City. A bit of a resurgence for Brendan Rodgers. Leicester City, Maddison with a goal there. He has been sensational in the past few months. So just waiting on the 2 games to come to a conclusion. Alan's there at Tynecastle. That's him just going in there at half-time. So we'll go through all the half-time scores for you. We'll get the reports from right across the country, and we'll give you some build-up as well to a big game this evening. Yes.
Goal for Motherwell, Kenny. It's an equaliser. It's come from a free kick just on the angle, maybe about 20 yards out. It looks as if it's taken a massive deflection. Blair Spittle right footed, looks as if it came off the wall and into the opposite bottom corner. So right in the stroke of half time, it'll be the last kick of the ball. It's St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1.
My goodness, they needed that one.
Dundee 0, Wraith Rovers 0.
Thanks, Chris. Right, all the half-time reports to come right here on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
All the grounds, all the goals, all the news.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
So not too many goals around in Scottish football this afternoon, but no shortage of talking points. We kicked off today with a game in Paisley, finished at Mirren 1, Rangers 1. Let's then get to Celtic Park. Celtic with opportunity to go 9 points clear this afternoon there for us. Pat Bonner and Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, not taking advantage of that so far. Celtic on average outscoring Ross County by 5 goals to 1 in the Scottish Premiership, but at half-time here it's 0-0. Celtic, I'm not even sure, have had 5 decent chances in the half. They had a good chance after 12 minutes. Kyogo with a flick header, beautifully done. It's the cross into the air, but landed on top of the net. Cameron Carter-Vickers, a 30-yard effort. Shot, goalkeeper spilled it. Keith Watson on hand to knock the ball away. And Kyogo, after 23 minutes, after a brilliant Celtic press, was put through, but one-on-one with the keeper. Keeper came out well and he just pushed it past the post. Ross County have been solid, they've been really well organised. Jan Dander's a couple of good runs down the right hand side. They're really no bother to Joe Hart at the moment. Alex Yakovidi and Keith Watson with Callum Johnson and George Harman either side to make up that back four. Pat Bonner have been very disciplined, very organised and very impressive.
Yeah, very defensive strategy from Malky Mackay, and no, listen, you come to Celtic Park, that's the way it's going to be, and he's got a back forward that's very tight. He's got then 2 sitting in front, and the 3 that supports Jordan White just drop in when they lose the ball to make it really, really strong in the middle. They leave the wide men on in a 1v1 situation, and even if Celtic do get to the byline, they're defending that sort of middle of the box quite well. Celtic have been probably a bit disappointed in their final ball when they get into those positions. I thought they could have picked out players better, and that little bit of detail I'm sure the manager will be talking about at half time, just because they need this goal. They need to open Ross County up and change the tactics from Ross County a little bit, because you know what's going to happen. If it goes down to the last 15-20 minutes, Ross County is going to bring on the pace from the bench, and the crowd will get a bit uneasy, and that's what Malky's hoping for. But Celtic, it's up to Celtic now to really break this Ross County team down.
Celtic 6 out of 6 at home to start the season. They've scored 20 goals so far, but they've not found the back of the net thus far. It's Celtic 0, Ross County 0.
Thanks to Pat and to Paul there at Celtic Park. You have the option of full commentary from there or updates from Rory on Open All Mics. Let's get to Tynecastle then. Hearts against Livingston there for us, Alan Preston.
Well, it's Hearts 0, Livingston 0 at half-time, Kenny, and Hearts have played really well in that opening period, and a really lovely 50-yard pass by Kieran McSoglu out to Mackay. He rolled in Cochrane. His cross found Shanklin, and the striker on his left foot was leaning back and hit the ball over the top of the bar. Devlin then had a great chance as well. He flicked it through to Giannelli, but the Livingston keeper was quick off his line to block it. Barry Mackay then had a run down the left-hand side, and his cross was saved by Konovalov when Shanklin was right behind him just to knock it into the net. Then just before half-time, Cochrane's cross found Shanklin, but his shot was straight at the keeper. But Livingston weren't out of it, and they had 3 chances in the final 2 minutes. Sean Kelly with a shot, well saved by Craig Gordon for a corner. From the resultant corner, Stevie Kelly header had another great save by Gordon, and right on the stroke of half-time, a Fitzwater header was headed off the line by Giannelli. Gives us a half-time score, Heart of Midlothian 0, Livingston 0.
Thank you to Alan Preston. Then let's then get to Rugby Park. Kilmarnock against Hibs, and there for us, Stephen Craigan.
Yeah, Ken, I have to say there hasn't been a great deal to talk about with regards goal-mouth action in the first half. I think the big talking point ahead of the game was the 7 changes that Derek McInnes made to his team after their humbling Tannadice on Wednesday night. And to be fair to them, to their credit, they've certainly put up a better fight than what they did in the first half. Certainly Tannadice has shown lots of energy, lots of effort. But in all honesty, they've lacked a little bit of quality in the final third, which is hardly surprising because I think they're the lowest scorers in the Premiership this season, with just 11 goals. Fraser Murray, an ex-Hibs player, has been quite lively, playing in behind Dennis Cameron, who's also carried a bit of a threat. He's a real presence up there, but he just needs a little bit of better service. As for Hibs, they haven't really been poor, if I'm honest, but they haven't done enough to be ahead in the game. They did have a goal ruled out for offside. Kuharovic had tapped it in past Sam Walker in goal, but I think Elias Melkerson was ruled out for offside. So a bit of work to do for both managers at half-time, a bit more quality required, a little bit more urgency required. But half-time here at Rugby Park, it's Kilmarnock 0, Hibs 0.
So looking at the live table, Hibs in 7th spot, Kelly second from bottom, 13 points from their 16 games, just above Dundee United. United are in action this evening, 6 o'clock kick-off at Aberdeen at Pittodrie. Full commentary to come from that one. Let's get then to McDermott, Parkston Johnson against Motherwell, and here from Stuart Kettlewell.
Yes, Kenny, and here at McDermott Park at St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1. in the opening stages of the game. The first two chances fell to the away side. It was Motherwell through Kevin Van Veen, all work from his own doing, gets around 18 yards out onto his left foot, and a deflected effort went into the hands of Remy Matthews. Second chance of the game came for Motherwell also, and it was Matty Penny down the left hand side, managed to pick out Louis Moult, but his effort was well saved at the near post from the goalkeeper yet again to turn it behind for a corner. The game sprung into life in the 26th minute, and it was really good play from Adam Montgomery down the left hand side, found Weatherspoon inside the penalty area. His left footed shot was saved by Liam Kelly, but could only parry it to the feet of Dre Wright, who had an easy side footed tap in to put the home side one ahead. It looked as if that was how the half was going to end, but the last kick of the first half was a free kick from Blair Spittle, no more than 20 yards out, slightly to the left angle, and his effort deflected off the St Johnstone wall and completely wrong footed goalkeeper Remy Matthews to put the away side on level terms. In all honesty, it was slightly against the run of play. St Johnstone should be in one up, but as we stand here at half time, it's St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1.
Thanks, Stuart. So half time scores in the top flight: Celtic 0, Ross County 0, Hearts 0, Livingston 0, Kilmarnock 0, Hibs 0, and St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1. The full time from earlier: St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. Let's get into the Championship and get to Dens Park Dundee against Raith Rovers. There for us, Chris Doolan.
Half time here at Dens Park, and it's Dundee 0, Raith Rovers 0. The game began with both teams passing the ball, being very patient. There's not been an awful lot of goal-mouth action, and it took for about 15-16 minutes before Raith Rovers get their first sight of goal. They had a half chance at the back post. Dylan Easton gets his head onto it, never really troubled Ian Lawler in the goals. Scott Brown had a shot from distance, which was easily round the side of the post. But to be honest, Dundee have controlled most of that first half. Their biggest chance came after 26 minutes. Zach Robinson burst in the box. He had a chance to pull the trigger, and he gave up that chance. He then turned away from goal, managed to flick his hips round and dug out a shot from nowhere. It caught Jamie McDonald off guard. It hits the post. Jamie's lying on the ground. It hits his back and rolls all the way along the line and hits the other post and comes out before being cleared. Dundee had actually lost two players early on in the game. They lost Joe Grayson, he limped off and was replaced by Sean Byrne, and then Anderson was also replaced by Ben Williamson. So they had a bit of turmoil early on, but they seemed to settle down into their flowing football really quickly. Paul McMullen's been a real thorn in the side of Raith Rovers as well, and in 42 minutes he had a fantastic shot from distance, which was another good save from Jamie McDonald. And to be honest, Jamie's had a couple of really good saves to keep Dundee out, but so far there's not been too many clear-cut chances. And at half-time at Dens Park, it's Dundee 0, Raith Rovers 0.
Thank you, Chris Doolan. Let's get to Cappielow. Morton against Partick Thistle, and Chick Young.
Morton 1, Partick Thistle 0. The only goal of the first half coming on the end of a Robbie Crawford corner, and it was very much hero of the hour, hero of the month probably so far. Effie Ambrose with a header to put it beyond Jamie Snedden and give Morton the lead. But Morton have been a real power force in this first half. They've made a couple of penalty kick claims, one of which looked pretty legitimate to me. They had a magnificent strike from Robbie Muirhead, a free kick saved by Snedden. He got it round the post, and then another wonderful run by Jai Katongo, jinking inside the box. He maybe should have done better with the shot he had from the corner on the left side that fell to him on the 6-yard box as well. So Morton with very much the lion's share of the chances and a real grip on this football match. And trust me, they are a team who will be in this promotion race right till the end. They're building a fair old squad, as Dougie Emery. They have the best record in this division in terms of the year, the calendar year this year. So they should be warned. Everybody else in this division should be warned. And Partick Thistle desperately saying they were 2-0 up at half-time last week, they're 1-0 down, so they would look for a turnaround in the second half. At the moment, I don't see it coming though. Morton 1, Partick Thistle 0.
As things stand, Morton 3 points behind the leaders Ayr United. They won in the live game on the BBC Scotland channel last night, 3-2 away to Hamilton Accies. So the half-time scores from the Championship are both 1, Cove Rangers 0, Dundee 0, Raith 0, and Morton 1, Partick Thistle 0. 5:30 kick-off, Queen's Park against Inverness. In League 1, the half-times: Airdrie 0, Peterhead 1, Alloa 1, Queen of the South 1, Dunfermline 0, Clyde 2, Falkirk 0, FC Edinburgh 0, and Kelty Hearts 0, Montrose Rose 1, and in League 2, 10-man East Fife 1, Albion Rovers 2, Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 1, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stirling Albion 0, Annan 0, Albion down to 10 men there. Stranraer 2, Stenhousemuir 1, and in England it finished in the lunchtime kick-off. Manchester City 1, Brentford 2, Bournemouth 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 3, Southampton 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 1, Leeds 2, West Ham United 0, Leicester City 1. So time now for the second half action to get underway in your choice of listening again. Full commentary of Celtic against Ross County on digital, online at BBC Sports Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland Extra on your smart speaker and on BBC Sounds. And if it's open all mics you fancy, that's on BBC Sounds, FM and online.
Football from Sports Sound.
Brilliant drop of the shoulder. What a goal!
From BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute.
Welcome back to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. Your reminder, stay with us right through until the 8:30 this evening. We brought you the first of the Saturday tea time kickoffs early in October. That was a thumping win for Dundee United against Aberdeen at Tannadice. It's a reverse fixture tonight. Very, very good. Aberdeen have been at home this season. Can they get revenge on United at Pittodrie? Full coverage, commentary starts at 6 o'clock on BBC Radio Scotland. So very interesting to see, Rory Loy, what develops in this second half at Celtic Park. A situation they're not really used to there, because they're usually so quick out the blocks, Ange Postecoglou's side.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a blueprint ever since he's come in. They start quick and try and grab an early goal. But credit to Malky Mackay's side. They've been very compact, extremely organised and difficult to break down. And if Celtic are struggling to break you down, you know that you're set up well, because I've watched them dismantle many a team here at Celtic Park this season. But they've struggled so far. But Ange Postecoglou will be in and around them in that half-time break, try and get the best out of them, get 3 points and then take their well-earned break. I know they're going over to Australia for a tournament, so they'll be desperate to go across there with another 3 points in the bag. But Ross County, if they can add a little bit of attacking prowess, may just be able to grab one on the counter, but they certainly haven't looked like that so far. Celtic fans aren't particularly happy with the performance of David Munro. I have to say, there's a couple of big calls which looks like he's potentially got wrong, but we don't want to be too critical. We've seen them again, but the first one on O'Reilly certainly looked wrong. But it's 0-0 as it stands, Ken, and as you say, an interesting second half ahead.
Yeah, speaking of referees, lots of people getting in touch today as ever. Cater's Corner, a St Mirren fan group, saying you're not going to discuss Kevin Clancy this afternoon. He'd been better wearing a blue shirt today. He gave a penalty. I think our pundits agreed it was the correct decision to give Rangers a penalty. Michael Stewart said up until that point Rangers never looked like scoring this afternoon, but Tavernier tucked it away. They did get a 1-1 draw. Kevin Smith, just in terms of the Duke penalty we discussed earlier on, he said it wasn't a VAR decision. The linesman had wrongly given offside, so the ref had no decision to make about a penalty. The VAR, having established there was no offside, suggested the ref should take a look at the penalty. And Joseph says, please tell Leanne that Deepu Akinyemi is in a 2-year contract. This man's desperate for him to hang on to him. He said no manager will take him. Ayers chairman Dave Smith doesn't need the money, and it'd take an offer of £400,000-500,000 for Ayr even to think about it. Even then, I think most likely they'd reject him. That's great to hear such confidence from Ayr United fans, and they're flying high right now.
Yeah, social media is busy as well, Kenny. A few folk telling me hands off Akinyemi. You can only say what you would imagine Prem clubs would be doing. Absolutely. Is that they'll be looking at players that they can pick up. Certainly the winter transfer window, we know it's a tough window to try and recruit players, and
at some point it will be right for Ayr United, Leanne.
Yeah,
at some point.
No, and it will, but I think when you look at the difference between a side that's top of the championship and a side that's bottom, goals is the difference.
Yes.
And Akinyemi this season has been the difference for Ayr United. But it'll be interesting. No, but it's good to hear that Ayr United fans are enjoying the position that they're in, and that they've got confidence in the club as well, that they are looking beyond the championship, and that the club have actually got ambitions that they believe, should they go and gain promotion, that they could go and do what other clubs like a Ross County have managed to do in the top flight, Livingston's, etc. Why not Ayr United?
Kenny, big chance at Rugby Park.
Yep.
And Hibs really should be ahead. It's a corner from the left-hand side, Joe Newell. It's an outswinger with his left foot. Paul Hanlon, I don't know who was marking him. He managed to get free. He had a free header 6 yards out, and he missed the ball completely. Big let-off for Kilmarnock. Hibs should be 1-0 up.
Yeah, just looking then at that championship table, Ayr United 3 points clear. What a job Lee Bullen is doing there.
Celtic Park for Ross County, it looks like, for handball. It'll be interesting to see this one again. It hits his hand, but it looked to me like it was outside the box. The Celtic fans aren't happy. It popped up. I think it's maybe Bernabei or Matt O'Reilly. It hits his arm out of nowhere. I mean, it looks like he's by his side. It certainly didn't look like an unnatural position. It looked outside the box as well. Leanne and Michael,
I'm seeing it just now. Yeah, Michael's back. He's downstairs now for his sports scene gig later, Rory, but certainly looked to me like he's outside. I'm just getting it from the angle from behind the goal. 1 foot of Matt O'Reilly is on.
Is it Matt O'Reilly?
Yeah, it's O'Reilly. His right foot is on the white line of the penalty area. Does pop up. Again, it's just madness. But I'm looking at players. Again, I'm talking about that reaction. The amount of pressure that the referee is under instantaneously from both sides. Ross County want it. Celtic are protesting against it. At the same time, he's got somebody in his ear trying to speak to him and tell him what's happening.
Yeah, they've just announced that they're checking the penalty for handball. It's been complete.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get another.
And it looks like the penalty is going to stand. So it will be David Cancola to step up for Ross County to try and put them in a very, very unlikely lead, I must say, given the way the games went so far.
He had a very good game midweek, Cancola, through at Easter Road. This is a huge moment on Sports Sound this afternoon. Yet again, VAR playing
David
its part.
Munro.
Yet again, it's an award of a penalty.
Steps up, slides it into the bottom corner and sends Joe Hart the wrong way. It is a goal for Ross County. They go 1-up at Celtic Park. They run towards the away support to celebrate. The referee's getting it tight from the home support, but it is Celtic 0, Ross County 1.
Well, do you know what's going to be really interesting here, Leanne, is Ange Postecoglou has not really spoken much about VAR, but I go back to the Bernabei one last week. If that had cost them points, if you go back to the Michael Smith one that wasn't given to at Tynecastle, that could have cost them points. I think we'd have had a very different reaction from the Celtic manager. If things stay like this today, again, another handball award, I'm sure he'll have plenty to say.
Yeah, he'll have plenty to say about it, no doubt. And you can see the deflation in Matt O'Reilly because, he's not meant
it.
It
Seems to be him, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's involved in a lot. I actually thought a number of weeks back he's a really quiet player. He's about his business. There's absolutely nothing that he can do about it. Honestly, I actually think he's trying to.
Is it in the box then?
His foot is on the line.
Jeez,
so he's in the area.
Sorry, Leanne, I'm jumping in here. There's been a 2-minute delay here at Rugby Park. It was supposed to have a free kick outside the box. David Dickinson has just had information from VAR to tell him it's a penalty. So he hasn't even went to look. He's just been told there must have been a foul in the corner of the box. I'm right behind that pole where it actually cuts off that corner of the box. But it's a penalty to the home side to Kilmarnock. Maybe you can shed a little bit of light on it for us.
Look at it. Yeah, this could be it now, Craggs.
Oh, good hit. Livingston come out the blocks there. Decent hit across the keeper. Andrew Shinnie is nicking the ball in the midfield, driving through, and right foot shot beyond Craig Gordon, beyond the post as well.
What a start to the second half action here, Leanne. You've had a good look at that. You're not convinced?
Honestly, football for me is done. If somebody needs to sit.
Honestly, exactly, Leanne, I'm with you.
Daniel Armstrong steps up to make it 1-0. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. 5th league goal of the season for Daniel Armstrong. I have no idea what the penalty was for. The pole in the main stand blocked my view, but Kilmarnock lead by goal to 0.
Yeah, penalty Dundee.
Yeah, penalty Dundee. Take it away.
Sean Byrne, 20 yards from goal, strikes a shot. It goes through a ruckus of players for Wraith. It hits somebody in the arm. 6 yards away, the referee standing. He straight away points to the spot. He had no hesitations, and Zach Robinson's grabbed the ball, and he's about to take the penalty kick for Dundee.
Daniel Armstrong has just signed a new 2-year extension, as Craig's telling us there. His 5th league goal. He also scored the goal that got them to a semi-final of the League Cup. They beat Dundee United a few weeks ago down at Rugby Park, and Kilmarnock up ahead 1 goal against Hibs this afternoon. It felt like a big game this afternoon. A lot of Hibs fans not at all happy midweek, losing to Ross County. They've lost 5 of their last 6.
Goal Dundee. Zach Robinson slides it basically down the middle of the goals, Kenny. Jamie Robinson dives down to his right hand side, and Zach Robinson puts a very cool penalty right down the middle of the goals along the ground. Dundee 1, Wraith Rovers 0.
Thanks, Chris. Stephen telling us there, man, he's no idea. Chance there, I'll just see it.
It's a ball over the top. The keeper comes out and he sees it and he just tries to lift it over him, can't get enough on it, and the keeper backtracks and grabs the ball.
Right, can you tell, you said for you the game's gone. Stephen can't understand why it's given. Can you put any explanation on it?
No, honestly, I don't see anything other than a a bit of bodily contact where as a defender
what a save
you're...
that is from Laidlaw. David Turnbull takes it on the instep, shifts it, and then outside the box, very David Turnbull-like, tries to swerve one into the far corner. Laidlaw's across his goal, sharp, moves his feet, and gets a big hand to it. A Celtic claim for a penalty. No, it's waved away. I think it's maybe Anthony Ralston in the box, goes down. And they take a look at that, Leanne. It's a great save from Laidlaw. It's fed back in, and he's clipped, goes down.
Yeah, I don't know if he feels
interested.
I don't know if it's maybe a push that he feels has come from behind it. I see him going down. I think he goes down with a wee bit more than what the contact would have caused. I'm not saying that there wasn't any contact. We'll get a closer angle, hopefully that'll give me a bit more clarity. Yeah, they'll look at it, any incidents like that within the penalty area.
Leanne, just to be fair, with Kenny Clark on last week, he was talking about, he was comparing it to learning to drive. You become more comfortable, things get sped up.
Yeah.
For that Ross County penalty award, it was actually a bit quicker today in terms of making that award. It felt that way.
Yeah, it was, but I don't think the referee's going to look at the monitor either, which is interesting because
yes.
I don't think that's it's very rare if that's happened at all. I wouldn't say that I definitively know, but I don't think there's many referees that have just taken the word for it.
They must just, at VAR HQ, they must just agree that it's a penalty and agree with the decision.
Well, can I just say it was the exact same at Rugby Park. David Dickinson didn't go to the monitor, so I think he gave a foul outside the box, so he's deemed as a foul. But apparently the foul must have happened inside the box, hence the reason why.
Right, that'll be why he
was given.
Yes, that's why he's not gone to the monitor then, because so they've just cleared that up.
Celtic Hearts have equalised at home to Montrose. Jamie Burjonas on 51 minutes. Spurs level against Leeds, 2 apiece now. Ben Davis on 51. Falkirk have gone 1-0 up at home to FC Edinburgh. Olusegun with a goal there on 53. As we heard about there from Stephen Kilmarnock ahead in the penalty spot. Daniel Armstrong in 53 minutes. Also Chris bringing his penalty news from Densden. D1 up against Raith Rovers. Zach Robinson on 49. Dumbarton now 2-0 up away to Elgin City. Greg Wild on 52, and that's you right up to date with all the goal news. Wow, what a few minutes.
To go back to the penalty incident, Kenny, you know, we talk about subjectivity and you know, whether there's something subjective or not. Of course a handball can be. The one at Hearts, for example, some people are saying Smith moved his arm to the ball, some people are saying no, it was a natural movement, etc. Now this one with Matt O'Reilly, his arm is slightly out from his body, but you know, we were talking about, you know, our players now going to start flicking the ball off. It was almost like that. Obviously I only get one look at it, but the ball's flicked up so quickly. He's not in an unnatural position as far as I can see. I mean, it's an extremely harsh penalty to give, in my opinion.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because what I think Matt O'Reilly's tried to do is get his hand out the way because it flicks up.
There's a chance for Livy! Goal! Stevie Kelly!
Good finish.
They've been brilliant. It's a long ball. Shinny just out muscles Cocker, and he finds Stevie Kelly, and from 18 yards he hits it across. Craig Gordon into the bottom corner, in off the post. Hearts 0, Livingston 1. Stevie Kelly.
That's a good finish. I'm just looking at David Martindale down in the touchline dugout, giving it the double fist pump. As you say, Alan, you can never write them off, can you? First half, brilliant. Hearts are excellent. Livy grow into it, you know, towards the end. But what a brilliant finish that is from Kelly, I would need to say. Does really well. Composed, good touch inside the box just to give him the angle and puts it back across Craig Gordon. Really good finish.
I'll tell you something, Alan, Hearts will find this tough because I watched the way under incredible pressure that Livy hung on against Aberdeen. The strength, they're so good at the back, certainly in the centre of that defence.
Now there you go, Oberlei's another one that come up for the lower leagues.
Yes.
You know, has been excellent for them, really, really good. They're a big, strong, physical side, but they can play as well, and he's got them really well drilled. Davey, he's standing down there laughing now. He's enjoying himself. He's what a job he's done. Absolutely brilliant.
And I put it to him last week, Alan.
Yeah, but fresh air. He was brilliant last week.
He was great in the studio last week. Gave a good insight. But I asked him the question about not being talked about for other jobs, and you know, I know he feels a lot of people just won't look beyond his past.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for him, you know, but that'll go with him for a long time, I'm afraid. But it was refreshing to hear that he'll be at Livingston as long as he might be, whether it be a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years. You know, so that's good for Livingston because he is.
It's great for them. They need to employ about 10 people.
Exactly.
If he leaves.
He's had assistants come and go over the period of time. Liam Fox being one of them as well. You know, that's come and went. And but the constant is Davy Martindale, and that's the thing with Livingston.
Yeah, we'll get problems in the line at Capello, but I can see Partick Thistle have equalised away to Morton. Anton Dowds on 58 minutes. They need a result. Thistle have been a dreadful run of form, conceding a lot of goals.
Goal Dundee!
Yep.
And it's that man Zach Robinson again, Kenny. There's a corner, gets whipped in, it's an out-swinging corner, it's headed down to the back post, and he does what every striker should do, peels off the goalie to the back post, he gets a first chance at it, Jamie McDonald actually saves it at point blank range, and it lands back at Robinson's feet and he strikes it into the roof of the net. Dundee 2, Wraith Rovers 0.
Staying in the Championship, an equaliser at Capello, Chick Young.
Yeah, yes, they have. Thistle of Anton Dowds has scored for them. There's another chance for Morton, just cleared off the line. Scramble inside the box. Oh, what a save! What an unbelievable save by Snedden. Got over the bar, skinned the corner. Miraculous save. It is one each. Dowds scored at the other end for Thistle. Ball came in and there was a little bit of a scramble in the box. He fired it into the net. Morton retaliated. What a save that was in there. There's a corner kick when this is all settled down. It's turned into a brilliant save. Now
keep this going. The producer saying that. Keep it going.
Honestly, he needs to change his batteries.
Listen, I thought they'd conked out years ago, but he keeps on going, doesn't he? 4 retirements later, he's still with us. Still loving life at Capello. Nottingham Forest have gone 1-0 up at home to Crystal Palace. Morgan Gibbs White on 54 minutes. Let's just take stock, because it's been a crazy start to the second half. So in the top flight this afternoon, Celtic 0, Ross County 1. David Cancola, controversial penalty on 50 minutes. Hearts 0, Livingston 1. Stephen Kelly on 55 for the Wayside. Kilmarnock 1, Hibs 0. Again, a controversial penalty. Daniel Armstrong, he's just signed a new deal. He slotted the penalty home on 53 minutes. And St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1. Dre Wright with the opener for Saints on 26. Blair Spittle, a deflected equaliser in first half stoppage time in the Championship. Chick just telling us there, Thistle have equalised 1-1 away at Morton. Dundee 2, Wraith Rovers 0. A double for Robinson there. Arbroath 1, Cove Rangers 0. In League 1, Airdrie 0, Peterhead 1, Alloa 1, Queen of the South 1, Dunfermline 0, Clyde 2, Falkirk 1, SC Edinburgh 0, and Kelty Hearts 1, Montrose 1. And in Scottish League 2, 10-man East 5-1, Albion Rovers 2, Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 2, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. Stirling Albion down to 10 men, drawing 0-0 at home to Annan. Stranraer 2, Stenhousemuir 1. And in the English Premier League it finished early. Manchester City 1, Brentford 2, Bournemouth 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 3, Southampton 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 2, Leeds 2, West Ham United. They're going through a tough time. 1 goal down at home to Leicester City. Madison on target there. Tea time kick-off, Newcastle against Chelsea 5:30, 7:45 Wolves against Arsenal. And we're through with you until about 8:30 this evening. A tea time kick-off, 6 o'clock start at Pittodrie. Aberdeen against Dundee United. Full commentary to come. Leanne, what's your take so far from these games? Again, bar controversial awards.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Rory though. I'm looking at.
Must be a goal for Celtic! Unbelievable feat from Rio Hatate. He steps 2 or 3. He gets to the byline. He cuts it back from David Turnbull. He takes a touch and simply taps it into the back of the net. Ross County have been deeper than the ocean since they scored that opener, and Celtic make them pay. It's Celtic 1, Ross County 1.
Just what I was going to come to you, Rory, and say, how long can Ross County hold out being hemmed in 40 yards from their goal?
It's quite incredible. I mean,
Starfelt and Cameron Carter Vickers are literally 40 yards for goal. 35 maybe. Incredible. As you say, great feat from Hatate.
Brilliant from Hatate, wasn't it?
Thing is, Ross County are more interested in dropping deep in protecting the goal, and David Turnbull just picks up an area of space, just checks back, gives himself a yard or two, adjusts the feet, knocks it home.
Well, if Liam Fox, he's Dundee United, thought scoring in the 89th minute was probably a little bit too early to get something, then Ross County have got a long half an hour in front of them.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as a manager down there on the touchline, Leanne, Marky Mackay, what on earth? How do you get through the next half hour or so?
No, it's tough. It's tough because the what if when you go up against Celtic at Celtic Park is normally you can see the early, your 3-4 mind, you're well and truly out the game. I don't think the what if really in your mind is that you're leading in a game, especially the form that Celtic have been in. So
well, it looks like they're going to make a double change, Malky Mackay, in reaction to that. So that'll be an interesting one. But the quality from the wider areas in Maeda and Haksabanovic just hasn't been there. They've had opportunities at Bernabei and Ralston. The crosses have been overhit and things like that. So it's taken for Rio Hatate to get to the touchline and pull one back to get Celtic back into this.
Rory, what's your thoughts on James Forrest? Because he seems to be the one that's kind of rarely brought back in just now. When you look at the changes that's made, he never started midweek. He doesn't start today. I actually think he's the one that's got the most quality at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a wide area.
I mean, it's obviously Jota probably stands alone and what you would say is being the first pick. I'm surprised he's not playing today with a break coming up.
I certainly think off the right hand side, I think Jota is probably your main starter.
In terms of Forrest, I mean, he comes in, scores a hat trick, then goes on to score another one at Tynecastle. And listen, I can only speak from my own personal opinion. Maeda for me is probably the most lacking in quality when it comes to that final third, whether it be delivery, whether it be that little bit of taking your time and composure to pick somebody out. So I think James Forrest can find himself very unlucky to be out of the team and getting on late in games, but he doesn't strike me as the type of character who would be knocking down the manager's door every day talking to him about it. But I would imagine the type of manager Ange Postecoglou is, he's probably in constant communication with him. But to answer your question, if I'm coming to Celtic Park and James Forrest is in the team, I know I'm going to be in the edge of my seat. Don't know if I can say that about Dyson Maeda.
Alloa going 2-1 up at home to Queen of the South. Daniel Church on 62 minutes. So Livy very, very good in the second half. Alan Preston.
They've been excellent, and once again, Kenny, you can look at the stats all you want, you can read them how you want. Livingston have had 26% possession but 13 shots at goal. So it just tells incredible. It's unbelievable. Hearts 74%, 8 shots. Livingston have really come out the second half flying, hit a lot of diagonals to Newbley. He's knocking it down, and it's Kelly who's benefited for the goal. He just benefited again a couple of minutes back with a shot deflected away for a corner. They're worth their goal ahead at the moment. 1-0 it is with 63 minutes in the clock.
It is a double change for Ross County. Dominic Samuel and Jordi Hawula are on. Goal scorer David Cancola comes off, as well as Josh Sims.
Alan, it's what we love about the game, because I was listening to the commentary last week from Tynecastle. It just felt like a significant win. 10 men late on. And you thought the fans right behind them, players coming back, going for third spot without the distraction of Europe. Livy, of course, they're going well, but Hearts would have been strong favourites for this game today, and there we are. Right now, you can call it a huge shock, but still a shock in the cards.
It is a shock. Livingston, they come to Tynecastle and win, I would say, but not really, because of the side that Davy Martindale's got out there and the way that he drills them. The two even sides. It was 4th v 5th in the league, so it's two evenly matched sides. Yes, Hearts have had a lot of injury problems and they will get better after the World Cup, but this Livingston side, the way you just watch them, look at their shape, they know when to go and press the game, they know when to drop off, they know they've got a target man up front that will hold the ball for them, so he can be trusted, so they can then move up the park a bit. And in the defence, Fitzwater and Oberlai, 2-man mountains, they're massive. They've not given Shanklin a kick so far, and Shanklin's been exceptional for Hearts this season.
Kenny, you have to remember, they've beaten Hibs already, they've beaten Hearts, they've beaten Aberdeen, they've drawn with Rangers. So I think we have to get away from this tag off. We're surprised at what Livingston do. We should never be surprised. We were surprised 2 seasons ago. They do it season after season, so I'm not surprised they went to Tynecastle and so far are leading. Your good side, your good players, good organisation. That makes up for a lot of quality in some places. They've still got quality, not as much as other teams, but they make up for it in heart and desire. The exact thing we spoke about, Rangers didn't have against St Mirren. Livingston have it in bundles.
Do you know what I think they've got, Kenny, as well? Just by the looks of them, I don't know them, but they look as if they have an unbelievable team spirit.
Yes.
They're all fighting for each other, and you can point the finger at other clubs that say maybe it's not the same. Some clubs are going through 4 and 5 defeats out of 6, 7, 8 games, whatever it is. Motherwell have been struggling, Hibs have been struggling, but this Livingston side, they seem to be battling for each other every single game that they put on that jersey.
Alan, let's be honest. Would you fancy getting into that dressing room after a game if you hadn't given 100%? No. I mean, come on. I've been down touchline with, my goodness, he just gives everything that touchline. Davy Martindale, all energies, hoarse at the end of the games, but what a job he is doing there. Livingston 1-0 up away to Hearts.
It's a goal for Celtic, and it's Haksabanovic. He gets another goal at Celtic Park after his 2 last time here.
Taylor. He cuts in from a wider area within the box, slews it into the bottom corner with the instep of his right foot, just as he's about to probably get replaced. It's Celtic 2, Ross County 1.
That's an unbelievable finish, Rory. It just sneaks in, doesn't it? Such a almost a cute angle.
Uses the defender well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I'm hearing in my ear, I wasn't across it a lot there, but I think Celtic have held on to possession for quite a long time in the build-up to it as well. Real patience, real quality, popping it 1 and 2 touch, passing inside the box. It's lovely.
Yeah, fantastic.
And as you say, Yuzi's a defender.
Aye, really
well.
well.
On the far side. Good luck to VAR having to get back over the attacking phase of play if it's been 40 or 50 passes.
I know.
Rory, 2 things to say on that. Another good piece of business by Ange Postecoglou, and also if we draw the comparison to the lunchtime kick-off in Paisley and the guys, Stephen made this point earlier in reference to the St Johnstone game or the Dundee United game. Rangers, you just never felt they were going to go on and win that game this afternoon. See, when you called it one apiece this afternoon, there was only ever really one outcome, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as they make a treble sub, Jota, Giacomakis and Abada are on. Off go Kyogo.
Just what you need when you're Ross County.
I know, sorry, I'm just laughing out loud, Roy. That's incredible.
I know.
I'm just waiting for you to say Larson and Sutton coming on as well. I mean, that would just be showing off, wouldn't it?
Haksabanovic and Maeda are off as well. But you're absolutely right in what you say there, Kenny. Haksabanovic has had his quietest game that I've seen him when I've watched him, but he still contributes. He still scores a goal. He's still got that moment of quality, even if he's playing poorly. So, these types of players make a big difference. And Celtic have got so many of them. Forrest's still sitting on the bench. He's able to bring on Jota and Abada, who no doubt will contribute in some way, shape or form at some point in the last 20 minutes or so. But they're just so good, Celtic. They really are. They haven't been particularly pleasing on the eye for large spells today, but they still get the job done.
It's been the case for a few weeks now. Not at their brilliant best, but they get the job done. They are relentless. Dunfermline back in at home to Clyde. Kyle Benedictus from the penalty spot. So the Pars 1, Clyde 2, East Fife 2, Albion Rovers 2. Yao Baldi with the goal there on 65 minutes. Alloa 3, Queen of the South 1, George Stanger on 65. Actually, Alloa now have just gone 4-1 up on 67 minutes. Kieran Offord 4-1 at home to Queen of the South. We heard about that goal, Haksabanovic. We can hear the Celtic fans singing. That put them ahead on 68 minutes. Let's then get to your game, Stephen Craigan. This feels like a big one for Hibs this afternoon. They've lost 5 of their last 6, losing again this afternoon. Booed off midweek. Michael said they were just missing so much in terms of heart, desire, leadership in that game through at Easter Road midweek, and poor again this afternoon.
Well, they haven't done an awful lot, if I'm being honest. They haven't done an awful lot wrong, but they haven't done an awful lot right. They've just been bang average, and that's what I spoke about earlier on. Sometimes you watch them playing and you think they've got something, they've cracked it and they're moving forward, and then you see them 3 weeks later and they're back to square one again. There's no doubt that they miss Martin Boyle. He misses pace, he misses creativity, he misses his dynamism to get him behind teams. So they were just in the middle of a VAR break for some reason. I know Alan Preston said that as a supporter at the game, you have no idea what's going on. Well, as a co-commentator or a pundit at the game, I have no idea what's going on either, because there's no announcements going on around the stadium. Play has restarted, but, Kilmarnock have got that lead. They're resolute, they're being hard to play against. Innes Cameron, for me, has been brilliant this afternoon. He really has carried the fight. He's held the ball up, he's fought with the 2 centre halves, he's got his team up the pitch. Probably doesn't get himself into enough scoring positions, but all round he's been a handful. And I'm saying negative news. Rand Porteous is back to his old self, throwing himself to the ground, arguing with the referee, trying to get players booked, trying to gain penalties. David Dickinson has just told him to get up and get on with it, grow up and be a man, play the game. So fair play to him.
He was dreadful for that second goal against Ross County midweek. And an Athletic have gone 1-0 up away to Stirling Albion. Tommy Goss on 71 minutes. Just to flag up what we've got coming for you this week, there's a Scottish Premiership Report Card podcast that's coming from Monday. Ray Bradshaw and guests will review your team's performance so far this season, so you will find that on BBC Sound. Search for Scottish Football Podcast. That'll be a good listen. He's a great character, Ray. He knows the game. Big Partick Thistle fan, which leads me to you, Chick Young. What's happening through there?
Well, it's still an exciting game, I have to say. Remember, it's Morton 1, Partick Thistle 1, Dowds with the equaliser. When it seems to me that Morton were going ahead to cement that lead that they had coming in the first half. Remember, from Effie Ambrose, but still at the balance now. It's been a much improved second half performance from the Jags. 1 each at the moment, Kenny, and if you're putting any money in that. I think I would leave it as it is, 1 each, a draw. I can't, maybe, who knows, actually there's a problem for Thistle. It's going to be a change. I've talked to you about that in a minute, but they've got an injury down there, still 1 each.
Thanks, Chick.
You're reporting from the moon now, Chick.
Kenny, almost a spectacular equaliser here at Rugby Park.
Yep.
It was a long throw from the right-hand side. Ryan Porteous, the man I was talking about, he won the flick at the near post. Elias Melkerson tried an overhead scissor kick. He made perfect contact with it, unfortunately just whizzed past the post. Still 1-0 here to Kilmarnock.
Yeah, same with Ray Bradshaw. He's sitting in for Tam Cowan tomorrow. Off the ball on from midday. That is followed by Sports Sound from 2 o'clock. So join the team for that. So the update on the latest score: Celtic 2, Ross County 1, Hearts 0, Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 1, Hibs 0, St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1. The lunchtime kick-off finish: St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. In the Championship, Arbroath 1, Cove Rangers 0, Dundee 2, Wraith Rovers 0, Morton 1, Partick Thistle 1. Chance?
Yeah, Shanklin, I think, or was it Rowells maybe? It's a ball in from Cochrane, whipped in. It was a corner for Hearts, headed out by Newbley, back to Snodgrass. He plays it to Cochrane, he whips it in, and it's a flick header off the top of the crossbar and over.
In League 1, Airdrie 0, Peterhead 1, Alloa 4, Queen of the South 1, Dunfermline 1, Clyde 2, Falkirk 1, SC Edinburgh 0, Kelty Hearts 1, Montrose 1. In League 2, East Fife 2, Albion Rovers 2. East Fife are down to 10 men. Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 2, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stirling Albion who also get 10 men. A goal down at home to Annan Stranraer, also down to 10 men. 2-1 up at home to Stenhousemuir. And in England, it finished at lunchtime. Manchester City 1, Brentford 2. Bournemouth have just gone 3-0 up at home to Everton. Liverpool 3, Southampton 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 2, Leeds 2, West Ham United 0, Leicester City 1. We hadn't heard from you for a while, Stuart Kettle. A quiet second half there at McDermott.
Absolutely brilliant play from Newbley. We can't wait to see this.
Stuart changed his voice.
That was perfect timing, that, wasn't it?
Changed my ground as well.
Honestly, great play. It's played into him, and he just pulls Rowles off as if he's not even there, turns him. He's got to score. That's what we're talking about. He's not our most natural finisher, but he's about 4 or 5 yards out. Just got to blast it. Doesn't get enough on it. Craig Gordon makes the save. Should have been 2-0.
All the post-match reaction to come on Sports Sound. So, Stuart Kettlewell, what's happening in Perth?
Not a great deal, Kenny. Not a great deal. I've not been in the second half at all. There's been deliveries.
We've got a check here at Tynecastle. Not a clue what it's for, but the referee now is going over to the screen again. We've not got a clue.
So the fans in there have got no idea what they just see the referee make the signal, but they don't know what it's about.
Told them whether it could be a penalty on a hold on Newbley in the box.
Yeah, it's got to be a penalty check.
When he goes to hit it.
Or another handball, possibly, Alan.
But honestly, no one in the stadium has a clue.
No,
checking possible penalty, they're saying, yeah.
At the screen at the moment, here we are.
That's a shirt pull.
Oh, that looks...
Shirt pull just as Newbley, yep.
That looks nailed on there.
Yeah, it's going to get a penalty. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one we will not debate. We could be surprised.
Yeah, fistful, pulls him off balance just as he's about to...
He's given the penalty.
Yeah.
And it'll be a card as well.
Here we go.
You should see. It's got to be a red card, I would imagine. And it is. It's going to be a red card for Kai Rowles as well. He is off.
Second yellow, is it? Is he giving him because he was booked? Was it because he was booked earlier on
as well? It's a straight red. Hearts are down to 10 men. They're 1-0 down. They're going to be facing a penalty. Go 2-0 down.
Forfar 1-0 up at home to Bonnyrigg Rose. Jaden Ferguson on 76 minutes. Dumbarton cruising 3-0 up away to Elgin City. Aaron Linus on 75. Stranraer 3, Stenhousemuir 1. Grant Gallagher on 74. Spurs behind again at home to Leeds United. Rodrigo with his second of the game has Leeds United 3-2 up there against Spurs. So Craig Gordon just out speaking to the referee at the moment, Al.
Yes, he's not happy at all with what's going on.
The thing is, he's got nothing to complain about, Alan. When you see it back, it's as clear as...
saying, where I'm sitting, it looks as if Newbley should have scored because has he been pulled as he's hitting it? That's how he's not got enough on the shot.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. The first angle that we seen was from behind the goal, so you were looking at Newbley clean on. When you see the different angle going across the pitch, it's a full fistful of the shirt. And Newbley's a big guy, it pulls him just off balance as he hits the shot.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be a penalty to Livingston. Chance to double the lead. It's going to be Sean Kelly that'll take it left-footed. The referee's trying to clear the box again. He's put his hand to his ear. Clearly still getting advice. No, he goes down, goes to see Craig Gordon now. Telling him to stay on his line, as you can imagine. And it comes out, everyone's got to now clear the box as well.
Taking a long time.
Massive. No, this is a big opportunity for Livingston, it really is. You know, but they've deserved it. They've been the better side in this second half. They've been excellent, and Sean Kelly will come up left-footed. The referee blows the whistle. Here he comes. Craig Gordon saved it. He dives to the right, but gets a hit with his left foot and knocks it away. Brilliant save, but hold on.
They're going to check it because I don't know if Craig Gordon's possibly come off his line too early. Looks quite far out as he saves it with his feet, Alan. But sometimes he could still have jumped forward as it's been hit. But I'm sure that's what they'll be looking at.
Right here, very quickly, Chick Young goal at Capello.
Yeah, that's another huge goal for Morton. Canny Blues to score. What a good goal it was. Some terrific football in the middle of the park. Ball swung left to Lewis Strapp. He puts a really tempting ball into the box, and it's finished with a plum by Blues. Morton 2-1 ahead. They are really in this promotion race, this title race in the championship. Disappointment for Thistle. It's Morton 2, Partick Thistle 1.
Thanks, Chick. So what's happening there, Alan?
There's been a check, but I think, as far as I know,
must be clear, Alan.
Been told he's still speaking to someone.
Yeah, I don't think that substitution would be allowed to happen.
The young subs came on. Connor Smith came on about 5 minutes ago. He's now been replaced because Hearts are down to 10 men, and it's a welcome return for Hearts for Craig Halkett.
Looks like maybe a change to the system as well.
3 at the back it will be, I would imagine.
Yeah. Big save though from Craig Gordon, you would need to say, Alan.
Massive save, really is. And Newbley! Oh, she couldn't get enough on the header, and it's Cochrane back there on the line. Livingston should be out of sight, to be honest.
What's happening at Rugby Park? Stephen, Craig and Kelly hanging on there?
Well, yeah, they are, but, Hibs are now starting to throw everything forward. They look a bit more dangerous in set plays, a bit more urgency about their play. Ewan Henderson's came on, and young Harry McCurdy up front has come on, who I have to say has got an absolute walloper of a haircut. He's got a mohawk. There's not a hair in his head apart from one big strip. He probably looked a little bit like Chick Young back in his heyday. Honestly, it's an absolute beauty. But anyway, he's quite loud. He's got about the game. Kilmarnock defend him well. They're getting men behind the ball. They brought on Chris Stokes now to try and... Is Liam Henderson in the left-hand side? Oh, it's a big chance. He gets in beyond Lewis Mayo, who's right centre half. He's in the corner of the 18-yard box. He probably should feed it across with his left foot for McCurdy or for Kuharovic, and Melkis is in there. He tries to have a shot, completely mishits it past the near post. But I've got to say, the Hibs fans, the young guys, are making plenty of noise. They're trying to encourage the team on. If they don't get a goal, though, I can imagine that would change, Kenny. That would be, 6 defeats out of 7, 3 points out of 21 is not acceptable for a Hibs manager. And ultimately, people will say, well, they're only 3 or 4 points off third place. But that shouldn't get away from the misdemeanours or the lack of quality and results that Hibs have had. That shouldn't be your measurement, because there's been a lot of poor results in teams this year, and Hibs as it stands are going to be one of them.
Absolutely, Stephen. Very, very poor in the League Cup. They have been in a decent run in the league, but as you said, a really poor recent run. They are struggling, booed off midweek. I'm sure there'll be a big reaction today. We will hear from Lee Johnson. He's criticised his players a few times. He also said he'd get things wrong himself midweek. He's not had the reaction so far this afternoon. West Ham now 2-0 down at home to Leicester City. Harvey Barnes on 78. Spurs have equalised at home to Leeds United. 3 apiece there. Bentancur with a goal on 81 minutes. Stuart Kettlewell, any sign of a winner at McDermott Park?
Doesn't look like it, Kenny. If it's going to come from anyone so far, I would say it would be St Johnstone. They're getting plenty of deliveries into the box. They're asking a few questions, but full marks to Motherwell. They've stood strong. They've defended their penalty area well. They have the odd 40 forward, the odd counter-attack forward. But as it stands just now, I would say we're probably going to finish on level terms.
Looks like it could be a big 3 points for Dundee this afternoon. Chris Doolan, if they hold on, they will move to win 3 points of Ayr United at the top.
Penalty. Janelli goes down under the challenge of Devlin. The crowd are going mad. Omionga will be booked for a challenge on Snodgrass. We'll see if this Janelli and Devlin incident is going to be checked.
Right.
I don't think so. Omionga has been booked for the challenge on Snodgrass in the middle of the park. David Martindale flew out the dugout there and having a go at Snodgrass.
Just check that out.
No, not a penalty.
Not for you, Leanne?
No, he's almost a Superman that through the air. No, never a penalty. And I don't know if it's possibly Ginnelly that's been booked, is it, for a bit of dissent?
No, it's Omionga for the challenge on Snodgrass.
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
Yep. Prior to that, just as the move was building up.
Kenny, almost against what I've just said there. Really good opportunity for Motherwell. Louis Moult done terrific down the left side, pulled it back. First you thought it was defended, it fell at the feet of Kevin Van Veen. Thought he could maybe have just slotted it in the bottom corner, but again well defended by St Johnstone. So I thought that the winner may come from St Johnstone, but another wee 40 forward for Motherwell.
Falkirk 2-0 up at home to FC Edinburgh. Liam McCann with a goal on 84 minutes. I was just saying, could be a big 3 points for Dundee right in the title race.
He's got to score. What a miss that is for Ginnelly. Great play from Hearts up the left hand side. Ball across by Forrest. Yes, it's coming on at a bit of pace, but he's got to get over the ball. Fluffs his lines over the bar. What a chance.
Yeah, just seen that at the back post. Right, quickly, Chris Doolan, what's happening there?
Yeah, Kenny, for as quiet as this first half was, the second half's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously kicked off early in the 49th minute by a penalty kick, and that got everybody. There's 5,000 here at the game, a fantastic crowd. It got everybody up out their seats, and Zach Robinson made no mistake when he got that penalty, put it away. And only a minute later, Josh Mulligan actually had a great drive and run into the box, and he drove one across the box, but there was no takers. Everybody stops in the 6-yard line instead of busting in there and trying to knock it into the back of the net. And then they get another goal in the 58th minute with Zach Robinson again, who's been absolutely fantastic. The
so
front
Cruz
three
in there. Cruz in there.
Brilliant.
Celtic want a penalty here for a handball. It's a fantastic switch of play by O'Reilly, taken down lovely by Abada, plays in the overlap in Ralston. He tries to dink it to the back post, and his arms goes up straight away, Ralston, saying that it hit the player's hand. And there wasn't a lot of cries from the crowd, which is quite rare. Don't know if you get a chance to look at it, Leanne, but they're booing
I've seen
now.
it. I only seen it in real time there, and it looked to me like it could have popped up off his arm. Get a wee look at it again. I think it actually comes off his chest there, I would need to say, from the angle behind the goal. It's quite unclear though, I would need to say, but just with the players' reaction, it looked as if it was the body.
Pressure, given the penalty Ross County got. I must say though, I'm not going to profess to be an expert on the Japanese international squad, but they must have some pool of midfield players if Hatate can't get in that squad, because he's been fantastic in the second half, as he has been for nearly all of the season. Created that goal, some lung-busting runs forward, but he's also worked back the pitch so well, some really good tackles to stop counter-attacks. Fantastic player, I must say.
Yeah, the skill for that equaliser was absolutely tremendous, you'd have to say, Rory. Just looking at that championship table, if Morton and Dundee stay the scores as they are, they'd move to win 3 points of Ayr United at the top of the table. Wraith Rovers in there, Cali Thistle in there. They kick off at 5:30. Queen's Park obviously right in there, Partick Thistle, and then you go into Cove, Arbroath and Hamilton Accies. So let's then get to yourself, Stephen, Craig and Kilmarnock against Hibs.
Yeah, I've got to say, Kenny, that Derek McInnes has decided with about 6 or 7 minutes to go that he's going to set a stall. He's brought on his second highest goal score to try and see the game out. Yes, Ash Taylor, 3 goals he's got this season. He's brought him on to play centre half. He's brought on Chris Stokes. He's decided he wants to try and make sure they get a clean sheet, they get the 3 points. Derek's been very animated this afternoon, probably as animated as I've seen him in a long time. Probably on the back of that 4-0 defeat during the week, as well as making 7 changes. He probably was gambling a little bit. He needed to try and find something. He needed to shake it up. He's done it so far. He's only, 3 or 4 minutes away from getting a huge 3 points. Hibs throwing everything forward, but that back 3 of Kilmarnock look resolute. They look strong. They look physical. It's going to take something special to try and break them down, and Hibs haven't found it so far.
Alan, is that
another
a possible
check.
Red card check?
Yeah, it's another check coming on.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's a really poor challenge.
Cochrane
is all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
I'd need to see it again to see the level of contact, but he's outstretched. Studs are showing, probably about shin height, leaves the ground. It's going to be a red card. I've just seen it again. I'll be very, very surprised if Cochrane doesn't receive a red card. It's a really poor challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it flew in.
Really poor.
Spurs 4-3 up now at home to Leeds United. Stranraer 3, Stennismuir 2. Thomas Orr with a goal there for Stenny on 83 minutes. Alloa 5, Queen of the South 1. Kieran Offord on 84 minutes. That's you right up to date with all the goal news as we approach full time here on Sports Sound. And of course we will have post-match reaction, and we will bring you full commentary from Batodry. Aberdeen against Dundee United. That one kicks off at 6 o'clock this evening. Still waiting for the...
Yep, still at Tynecastle.
Yep,
waiting
still
on the
waiting, Alan.
here. Yep. Craig Napier, he's not been asked to go and look at it so far.
Again, it's this moment where you're looking at the entire attacking phase as well. So even before that challenge, there'll be bits of the game that will be looked at to make sure that there was nothing in the build-up to this decision, which is where the time comes from.
That game could finish around the same time as evening kickoff, Alan. You could be there a while.
It happened the other night, actually. I think was it a game kicked off at half 7.
Oh, great save, sorry, Kenny.
No, right.
It's a fantastic turn by Giacomakis. He pins his defender, spins him, tries to place it in the far corner, but Laidlaw gets some studs at the end of it.
Not even a booking there. Surprised at that. I'm sitting next to the Livingston television people, and they've showed me it looks a horrific challenge.
Wow.
Cochrane's dodged one there.
My mind is blown.
You've been perplexed. I can say that word this afternoon. You've been confused this afternoon.
That's how taken aback we are by that decision, Kenny. We can't speak. Really strange. All I can, the decision they've come to the VAR room is that effectively they think it's probably a yellow, and that you can't review a yellow card decision. But for me, if your leg's planted at the point that challenge comes in, you're in trouble.
Liam, was he booked for
Not that you want to see players, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think they can't give a yellow
card.
Not,
though, and it's as bad as what you think. You'd imagine retrospectively he could get done then.
I know. Possibly.
Because as much as Tony Watts was overturned, even though they didn't challenge it on the day,
there's a lot of force. He leaves the ground. His legs outstretched. He's not in control. Studs are showing.
Yeah.
For me,
did he go to the screen, Leanne? Did he have a look?
No,
he didn't. Cooney of the South down to 10 men. Stephen Henry sent off on 86. Airdrie have equalised late on the home to Peterhead. Lewis Jameson on 87 minutes. Montrose could have grabbed themselves a winner. 2-1 up now away to Kelty Hearts. Graham Webster on 90 minutes. And Dunfermline have equalised at home to Clyde. The second of the game for Kyle Benedictus. 88 minutes. Still time for James McPake's side to get a winner on the back of that fantastic win they had. The big derby match. Alan was there for us last weekend at the Falkirk Stadium. So into the closing stages here now. Celtic Park, have County shown anything to get a chance of getting a draw in this one, Rory?
No, not really. I mean, it's not been Celtic's great performance, but they've been by far and away the better team and deserve to win the match. Other than just a run forward, just as you were speaking there, Kenny, from Aura Edwards, the substitute, Ross County have shown next to nothing in the second half.
We'll have a look at this. Omionga goes down. Hearts players are wanting him booked for a second yellow for a dive. I think he's been clipped.
Alan, just generally in terms of this performance this afternoon, what's the reaction like from the Hearts fans?
I think more to do with the referee and some of the decisions that have been made, but I think he's got most of them right, to be honest, and the ones he hasn't got right, VAR have helped him. We've seen it as it was a penalty on Newbley, which would then result in a red card. But,
doesn't look, Alan, like there's too much contact on Omionga there, I would need to say.
So they're looking, that's why the Hearts fans are going mad. They're looking for a second yellow for him down to 10 men, but this game might not finish before the Aberdeen-Dundee United game.
Alan, I was saying that there was a game that kicked off 15 minutes before one the other day, and it almost finished at the same time, the final whistles, because of all the VAR checks in one of them. I think it was actually it was last Friday night from memory, the game.
What a save that is! Dave Gordon.
Oh,
wow. From Fitzwater, heads it. Brilliant save. Great ball in. What a save.
Yeah, point blank range, isn't it? Outstretched with the left hand.
Dumbarton 4-0 up now away to Elgin. Ryan Wallace on 89 minutes. Chance somewhere there?
Yeah, it's down to Kilmarnock. What a scramble in the Kilmarnock goal. The ball came in from the right hand side. It was headed back across. Harry McCurdy fizzed it into the box where Sam Walker was. There was 5 or 6 blue and white jerseys. There was 4 or 5 Hibs jerseys. The ball just bounced about and somehow didn't end up in the back of the net. They've got it cleared, but they really are hanging on, Kilmarnock. Hibs throwing everything forward.
It's also a very tight game in Perth. Stuart Kettlewell, what's happening there?
Yeah, there's nothing in it, Kenny, at all. Getting Motherwell grown into it in the last 5 minutes or so, turning the ball over, trying to spring counter-attacks, but we've probably lacked that wee bit of quality in the final third. We're still 1-1 here and only 3 minutes to play.
Montrose have sealed the points away to Kelty Hearts. Craig Johnson puts them 3-1 up in the 93rd minute there. We're approaching full times here. Just seen some pictures of Ange Postecoglou coming in there, Leanne. He looks really confused in the touchline there. The arms out.
At Tynecastle added on.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what he's confused about. There's a coming together with Samuels, I think it is, and Giamakis has come off worse. It's almost like a burst lip he's got. But I didn't see anything wrong with it. Giamakis is coming into press to put a bit of pressure on to win the ball back. As I say, it's bodily contact. There's almost whether it's a flick of the hand that catches Giamakis, but he's come from behind Samuels, so Samuels has got no idea that there's going to be that level of contact. Whether Ange Postecoglou maybe feels that an arm's been used against Giamakis, I'm unsure, but for me there certainly wasn't anything to be looked at.
Late drama at Capello, Chick Young.
It's a red card for Partick Thistle this afternoon. Just gets worse. Absolutely deserved it. A Canola red card. He was 1-on-1 with Katonga. Katonga turned him. He was clear through on the goalkeeper. It just slowed him down. Absolutely no problem with the decisive decision from the referee, James Ranger, to make.
Oh, save! Shankland! No! No again! And again! No! 3 efforts!
Unbelievable!
Oh my God, I've seen it, Alan. I'm seeing it. I was in the moment with you.
Wow! Brilliant play from Forrest. He hits it across the goal, comes back to Shankland. He has 3 efforts at it. Keeper saved it. I think there's a defender on the line. Can't knock it in. What a chance.
It's a brilliant chance. It's a great save from the goalkeeper. He gets down low, bodies. I think it's Jason Holt that throws himself.
What's going on, but there's another check going on.
I'll give you some late goals. Bonnie Rose have equalised late on against Forfar. George Hunter in the 92nd minute. A chance there.
Chance for Ali Crawford to win it for St Johnstone. Kenny, great play from St Johnstone. It fell into him about 20 yards out from goal. Hit it in a half volley, but it was smothered by Liam Kelly in the Motherwell goal. Still 1-1.
Big goal in the Championship. Cove Rangers have equalised away to Arbroath. Blair Ewell in the 90th minute. Full-time Kelty Hearts 1, Montrose 3. Also full-time Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 4. East Fife have gone 3-2 down at home to Albion Rovers. Charlie Riley with what looks to be the winner there in the 93rd minute. So what's happening? Tynecastle, play on, Alan.
Yeah, play on. We're into the third of 7 added on minutes. Livingston have just won a throw in deep into their own half. So just take their time now. Hearts have made a fist of it with 10 men. That was 3 chances there for Shanklin in a row, and they hit the bar, the Rowells, before he was sent off. But Livingston, good value, really is. And again, we'll touch on it. Newbley's a handful.
Yeah, he's been spoken about a lot in this programme. Nervy times at Rugby Park for the home support, Stephen.
Yeah, it is, but I have to say the atmosphere has been really good this afternoon. I think the longer the game has been on, the Kilmarnock fans have realised that their team need them. The players need that extra little edge. Been a tough week, was a big defeat. I think for the morale and the spirit, it would have been tough to take a couple of days, and this game probably couldn't come quick enough for the players on the pitch. So they responded, but Hibs have pushed and probed, but they haven't managed to get that equaliser.
Yeah, sign him a good manager. He gets the reaction.
Celtic Park, and they get there in the end. It's a deserved 2-1 win for Celtic.
Newbley plays it to Pittman. He's clean through. No, he's wasted his time. Honestly, Newbley, he just pushes Sibic off the balls if he's not even there. Goes down the line, squares it to Pittman. What's the referee giving now?
Right, where are we? Airdrie 1, Peterhead 1 is a full-time score. Also a full-time Falkirk 2, FC Inverness. Stranraer beating Stenhousemuir by 3-2. That's you got all. Actually, Annan have gone 2-0 up in the 96th minute away to Stirling Albion. Chris Johnson with the goal there. That's all. This Alloa beating Queen of the South by 5-1. What a result for Brian Ricey's side. They are just awaiting some full-time whistles. Celtic have got the points.
Full-time whistle at Kilmarnock, Kenny. You can tell by the noise round about me. It's Kilmarnock 1, Hibs 0.
Yeah, fantastic response from Kilmarnock. Derek McInnes called a few of them out midweek. He looked for the response. He got it today, winning 1-0 at home to Hibs. Desperate times for Hibs and for Lee Johnson. Celtic have gone 9 points clear of Rangers at the top of the table. They went behind a David Kincola penalty in 50 minutes. Controversial, I think it's fair to say. David Turnbull with the equaliser on 62. Great work from Rio Hattati, and Hatzabanic, what a signing he's been with the winner on 68 minutes. Deep into extra time at Tynecastle. Livingston 1-0 up against 10-man Hearts. Kilmarnock have got that win against Hibs. Armstrong with a penalty on 53 minutes. He signed a new 2-year extension this week. His 5th goal in the league this campaign. He also got the win that takes him to Hampden in the new year in the semi-finals of the League Cup, and still playing in Perth.
Still going, Kenny, with 20 seconds to play of the 3 minutes added on time. We're just about there.
Right, other full-time scores come in. Spurs have beaten Leeds United by 4-3. It's finished 4-1. Bonnie the Groves won a late equaliser there for Rose. And any other scores coming in? We've got the Celtic 2, Ross County 1. Dunfermline fought back. It finished 2 apiece at home to Jim Duffy's Clyde. And that's all the full-time scores so far. Stranraer just confirmed 3-2. They beat Stenhousemuir this afternoon. So we're just waiting.
Full-time at McDermott, Kenny. Finney St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 1.
Thanks, Stuart. So just what's happening there at Tynecastle, Alan?
We have got a minute and a half left. We've played 5.5 minutes to 7. It's a free kick for offside for Livingston deep in their own box. And they can see this through now. You know, they've had, just looking at the stats again, Kenny, 17 shots. Coming to Tynecastle and having 17 shots at goal, 7 on target. They've been good value, they really have. Their Hearts have tried their best to try and get back in it, just not quite enough.
Full time at Dens Park, Kenny. Dundee 2, Wraith Rovers 0.
Right, we're just waiting on that game. Alan is at Tynecastle, just looking at the Premiership table. Livingston would be in third spot, 3 points clear of Aberdeen. Of course, the Dons would go into third, go back into third if they beat.
Again, he's through again. Chance for this might go to VAR for a check as well. Leanne, if you're still there,
I can see him. Yep, stumbling into the box, bit of contact behind.
Yeah.
He's done so well though, Alan. You know, you've been speaking about him, you're describing it. Just he's so.
Chance for Ginnelly. What a goal! Unbelievable strike. Josh Ginnelly. Robbie Nielsen's on the pitch. He's on the pitch. Honestly, incredible scenes here.
I tell you what, of interesting, Alan, if they do look at the possible penalty at the other end of the pitch.
Wow,
that's a good shot.
That reminds me. Remember, Alec Ferguson was on the pitch at Old Trafford, and Neil Lennon done it in the 5-5 game at Easter Road. Robbie Nielsen runs on the pitch. What a finish from Ginnelly! But this, as you said, Leanne, might be checked because
Davy Martindale's going mad down in the touchline. He's telling them to speak to the referee, remind them about the incident at the bottom end, but take nothing away from the finish from Ginnelly. Absolutely
the power
brilliant.
in that shot there,
unbelievable.
It's going to be checked without a doubt.
They'll check the goal anyway.
It's a great finish from Ginnelly.
Yeah.
There's a potential handball. There's a potential foul at the other end as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. This game's not finished yet. Far from it. We've done the 7.5 minutes. We've done it now. The referee is looking over and talking to everyone over this side. He's walking about, the referee now, clearly talking to his VAR guy. Davy Martindale's no happy. The fans are, as you can, if you hear some swearing, apologise for the swearing behind us. The fans are congregating right behind where I'm sitting at the moment. Still got to be checked, without a doubt. Davy Martindale doesn't believe it should be a goal.
Yep.
I think Robbie Nielsen could be in trouble for his celebrations.
And if this goal's disallowed,
carded. Robbie Nielsen is yellow carded for his celebrations. I don't know if the goal's been given yet or not. We still don't know. But as I said, everyone's about us. Hearts fans are waiting in their droves to find out if it's a goal or not. We don't know. He's now walking over the pitch. Honestly, give them a pen and paper and let them draw it, because we haven't got a clue what's going on here.
It's ridiculous of the fans in the ground.
It's a shambles. Absolute shambles.
We can see Davy Martindale screaming down there. Absolutely livid.
I've got a feeling the check's over, Alan. Just by the fact the referee's made his way back to the centre circle.
Goal, 1-0. Ginnelly scores in the 97th minute. As I say, once again, I apologise for people round about us. We've now played almost 9 minutes here. As we go on, goal's been given, and that's the fans now celebrating a goal that was scored 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, ridiculous. West Ham United beaten by Leicester City 2-0 at home. Forest have beaten Crystal Palace 1-0.
Whistle at Tynecastle. Hearts 1, Livingston 1. This is going to be a bit tasty down here with the dugouts.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the pictures coming into the studio here. Yeah, I mean, there is so much to talk about on Sports between now and 6 o'clock, and when that's done, we have another game this evening for you. Aberdeen against Dundee United, live from Pittodrie. Full coverage to come from that one. So much drama. We'll get post-match reaction right after the BBC Radio Scotland news at 5 o'clock.
On digital radio.